back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler here with Johnny. Johnny, tell me about Bubble Bobble.
I just told you about Bubble Bobble.
You're right. You definitely know
dragons.
more about Bubble Bobble than me, is what I will say.
I know, I think I've made it evident on the show more than I should have that I know more about Bubble Bobble than most people. I mean, that could be true any day of the week because I know Bubble Bobble exists, but within the realm of collecting video games.
Is Bubble Bobble dead as a series? That's funny that you say,
No,
I know Bubble Bobble exists.
I love Bubble Bobble. We could talk about the rare revision code Bubble Bobble if we were talking about rare and interesting dragon games, but we're not. We're talking about dinosaur games today because I have a book report to finish and I need this information.
All right, the last Bubble Bobble game came out in 2019 on Switch, so I guess Bubble Bobble is still a thing, although it looks like it might be a download exclusive.
No, there was a couple different physical releases and then a re-release of that one because there's Bubble Bobble 4 and then Bubble Bobble 4, oh god, I forget the thing's names, like Revenge or something. So but still Bubble Bobble 4. So there's like a second release. There was special editions, and I think it was like through Special Reserve. There was a couple of physical releases.
It looks like Bubble Bobble with a shitty 2.5D art style. It's got like that 2D perspective with 3D
Would you
art.
not, excuse me, I don't appreciate your tone.
Okay.
One, okay.
I'm sorry.
It's not shitty. Okay.
Yeah, it's
you can say I don't enjoy it, but please don't throw your value judgments at this thing I enjoy.
No, if you're taking a good 2D art style and you think you're making it more modern by making it 3D for no reason, like Mighty Number 9, it would look 10 times better if it was a 2D game instead of a shitty 3D game.
You know what would make Mighty Number 9 look better? Not existing. If you could just erase it, that would be the best thing you could do for it.
This trailer for Bubble Bobble for Friends, it shows like the shitty, like, oh, here's a game that looks like it costs $10 on mobile. And then it goes to the original Bubble Bobble arcade game, which has like amazing 2D pixel art and like little 2D effects. It looks so much better.
I don't disagree. But they also have to look like they're making improvements, or what have they done? You got to sell it to the kids.
I mean, you have to sell it to the kids, but as an adult, I feel like if you making a good 2D art style should be more expensive and take more effort than making a bad 3D art style. So your game is more impressive to me if you have a good 2D art style, like Shovel Knight or something.
I agree, but that's not it's not what people do.
Your game looks cheap is what I'm saying. Fuck Bubble Bobble. The series is dead. Can you believe they never made like a real 3D Bubble Bobble though? What happened there?
I mean, they have all those Bubble Pop games. Thank God they never made a real 3D version. That would be terrible.
But I mean, like on like the PlayStation, man, there was everything on the PlayStation. They never made a 3D Bubble Bobble. Like it's a pretty big series.
I mean, Bubble Bobble kind of went away, and then it became the other series.
Well, like it went to like Rainbow Islands, but I mean, there was like Bubble Bobble still had cachet. They could have released a Bubble Bobble PlayStation
became
game.
Like just the Bubble Pop game.
Bubble Pop. What are you talking about?
What is it with the shooter?
With the shooter. Oh, Puzzle Bobble, Bust a Move?
Yeah, yes.
I mean, those are different games. I think people like that.
It features
game more,
Bub and Bob and the characters from.
Yeah.
Also, but that's what it became, because that series became more popular.
Did you know that the American release of Bust a Move is called Puzzle Bobble? Because that's the version I played as a kid, and I always called it that. And then everyone I had a conversation with called it Bust a Move. And then I realized, I thought they were different games, and then I realized, like, no, I'm just the idiot, the only person calling it by the local name, which I guess there were also a lot of games called Bust-A-Move in the US, but I bought it on PC at Micro Center for 99 cents, and it was called Puzzle Bobble.
Okay.
I've never seen another physical release. I've never seen an arcade cabinet, never seen anything called Puzzle Bobble here. It's all Bust-A-Move.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, man, Bust-A-Move fell right out of my head. I could not think of that fucking name. But I did think of The Baron is Back, which is the other Bubble Bobble 4 release. It's Bubble Bobble 4 Friends, The Baron is Back.
Is that just like a sequel with the same art style that I don't want to look at?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway,
I don't even know if it's a true sequel.
So, yeah, those are some games we're talking about that have dinosaurs in them, huh? So
nope, they are dragons. They are bubble dragons.
Bubble dragon dinosaurs.
I'm gonna murder you so dead.
Oh my
You're gonna
God,
be
that is
dead.
so rude. Just for misspeciesing some beloved
Look,
fictional human characters?
Yeah, that the world we live in today, if you fuck up that, you die. That's how it works now. The punishment is only death.
Okay. All right. Johnny, can you explain why this episode is happening? Is it to commemorate the new Jurassic World movie?
Yeah, absolutely. We did it right on time for that.
Did we? I don't even know if there is a new Jurassic World movie. I'm just assuming there will be more Jurassic World movies. So it'll always be the right time.
There's a Jurassic World 3, which was already out, I think, like a month ago. Probably why I had the idea for this episode, honestly. My wife is a big fan of dinosaurs, and so is my son. And look, people love dinosaurs. I don't know what to tell you. People love dinosaurs.
They probably had feathers, though, and we're thinking about them all wrong, and they're probably a lot less cool than we thought.
Or cooler. You don't know. That might make them... Are they scarier if they're bird-like, or are they scarier if they're reptilian?
I'm going to say they're scarier if they're reptilian.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
I mean, there are... I'm not saying birds can't be scary. Like, big birds, still pretty scary, but, I mean, come on. The Steven Spielberg's vision of what should terrify us is the correct, scariest vision.
Yeah. There are people who are scared of birds, though. There are a good swath of people who are avophobic.
I mean, they've got hard little beaks to poke at you. They've got talons to rip at your flesh.
Birds are gross.
And
birds are
they're gross. You wouldn't want to pet a bird.
You like birds because you're a weird bird person.
I'm a bird person. Oh, I like fat little fluffy birds like titmice and things like that. I mean, they're so round. They're adorable.
Yeah, nope. Birds are horrible. Just kind of in general. Don't like birds.
You know what? I'm thinking about picking up a new hobby, Johnny. I think I'm going to get into bird watching. Just going out with some binoculars and looking at birds.
I know you're trolling me, but that sounds like the most Tyler thing.
It really does, doesn't it? I've already got binoculars. I could do it.
I know. You definitely sound like somebody's dad who was like, oh yeah, we were down in the Everglades and I took the binoculars and the kids and we had a really excellent time. Can I tell you how many birds we saw? Jason, come here, son, tell them how many birds we saw. And Jason is just miserable. Just the look on his face. It's just like, we were so close to Disney World and he made me look at birds.
He wanted to leave. He wanted to leave, but then right at 5:30, right at the perfect time, golden hour to take the pictures, we saw a golden pheasant, otherwise known as Cretaceous pictus, obviously. But it was beautiful. I had my telephoto lens to get a picture of it. I'm going to post it on Instagram.
Bird watchers are weird collectors too. So they're in our same ilk.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Same with train spotters. I think train spotters are the best.
There's a weird subgenre of collecting, and that's part of it. But that's not what we're talking about today.
Okay.
But there's some hot takes for you guys. Train spotters and bird watchers are also collectors.
Train spotting must be the most fun in the world, because while you're going to go look at rare trains, you're probably taking trains around the country to go find those trains. So you're engaging in your hobby to go do more of the hobby. It just sounds like the best.
I mean, people do that for planes too, though, right?
What, like plane spotting?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe people would take a plane to go look at rare planes, but I imagine the majority of plane spotting is just going to the local airport and taking a camera and taking pictures. Train, it's a lot easier to get around by train and a lot cheaper than by plane.
Yeah, Train Spotting, not just a movie with Ewan McGregor being a heroin addict.
Yeah, it's a pretty feel good movie. I think you should, if you're into trains, you should watch Train Spotting.
Yeah, if you want the feel good movie, then I don't know, what else could you go watch? Go watch Pi and just enjoy.
Dinosaurs? Anyways, what?
Yeah, dinosaurs. So. We're just going to talk, and this is not a definitive list. We've got some mentions that we'll throw out, but we wanted to talk about 5 interesting dinosaur collectibles. Interesting for whatever reasons we picked, but just 5, a throwback episode, a theme episode. I want to do more of these where we just lump a grouping of games that I find interesting and do it. So I picked dinosaurs for this one, probably because Jurassic Park is out. Probably because my son loves dinosaurs.
It came out 2 months ago or something. It's probably leaving theaters soon.
It's on iTunes. It's dead. we got over that period. We had like this week scheduled where we're gonna like watch a bunch of movies every night, my wife and I, and then she got COVID and I had to avoid her. And then my son and I somehow did not get COVID, but she had COVID. So
I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on the fact that you're planning on watching Jurassic World 3. I'm sorry. I hope everyone feels better with COVID. Do you not know what's going to happen in this movie? Like I haven't seen the Jurassic World movies. I've seen the first 3 Jurassic Park movies. And Johnny, they reopen the park, dinosaur shenanigans happen, and then there's like some scenes of people running in CG dinosaurs, and then there's a dinosaur battle and they fix it. Like, is that not just every Jurassic World movie?
Sure. And there's also Camp Cretaceous, which is a Netflix animated series where some kids get left on Jurassic Park as the island is being evacuated because the dinosaurs are loose. These kids have to survive, there, a la Lord of the Flies kind of. I mean, not exactly, but they're a bunch of children left in a dangerous situation and they must survive alone on an island full of fucking dinosaurs. That's a Netflix series for small children. It's awesome.
I like that idea better than a new fucking Jurassic Park movie.
Legitimately a better idea than all of the Jurassic Park movies.
Since Lost World.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. Yes. It's the second best Jurassic Park theme they've done since the first Jurassic Park, which is excellent. Go read the book. Still better than the movie, I think. But the movie is excellent. Holds up still. The CG still holds up.
I'm guessing that this show kicks ass because it's less than 2 years old and it has 5 seasons.
5.
Damn.
Yeah, 5th season just came out, though. Season 4 was a bit of a letdown.
Oh, no.
Because they changed the dynamic of the show, tried to do a different thing, and made it kind of annoying. And I really fell off, and we haven't started season 5. Also, my son loves this show. He went through this period where this is all he wanted to watch, and he didn't like really watching anything, and he picked this because he likes dinosaurs. And so, yeah, we just kind of got stuck on it. We watched a lot of it, and he's got a lot of dinosaur toys.
It is, man. Your son is going to grow up and he's going to be like, oh yeah, my childhood TV show, Jurassic World, Camp Cretaceous. And it's just like a weird, I don't know. It seems weird,
he's
right?
Probably not. He's probably not though, because he was like two and 3 during this show. So He's not even going to remember that was his childhood show. It's going to be one of these shows that we tell him, yo, back when you were 3, do you want to know what show you really liked? And he's going to be like, okay, Dad, cool. Shut up.
All right. I want to know what the kids are growing up with though. So keep me updated on that media.
Yeah. I mean, in like 3 years is like when he'll get in like this 2 to 3 year period is when he's going to get his childhood show. Cause that's when I got like G.I. Joe and He-Man. Like, He-Man was like 5 years old for me. Like, 1983, I think, is when He-Man hit. And that was like a game changer for me. So I'm wondering what his He-Man will be. In the series of The World We Live in Today, He-Man could be his He-Man.
Yeah. I mean, you could just force it on him. Like, if kids force their beliefs on, or parents force their beliefs on kids all the time, just be like, yeah, all you get is He-Man on this Plex server, and that's it.
You don't understand that I have a whole Plex.
Oh, yeah, no, I know that's exactly what you're planning on doing, but he's also got access to Netflix and stuff, so he could find his own stuff.
Well, not unless I put a password on all of it.
Whoa. But once he gets access to YouTube, he's going to go down like some kind of like far wing radicalization rabbit hole you're not even going to know about.
We are so off the rails from what this episode is supposed to be. But yeah, absolutely. YouTube is the devil. And he already will watch YouTube, and it like everything is. And it was funny because I was just talking to Mr. Sib about this. But the fucking coffin dance song, if you don't know what that is, go look it up and go look up the origins. Thanks, Mr. CIB, for the origins of that song. Yeah, horrible. But YouTube has like a whole algorithm based on just putting the coffin dance song into videos for kids, and then like modifying it to cartoons. It's fucking awful. What an awful, awful thing. And kids love it. And I don't understand. And also it's called the coffin dance song, which is a weird premise. So yeah. Anyways, we're going to talk about some collectible dinosaur games. Woo!
There better be some of my childhood TV show, Johnny. Transformers Beast Wars.
Not dinosaurs.
What?
But there
Not
are dinosaurs in Transformers.
What? You know what
Yeah,
they turn into Optimus Primal and well, he's a gorilla or something. What's Megatron in that show?
No, there's a whole series. The Dino bots, dude. There's a whole. They already have them. Grimlock. Do you not know Grimlock?
Fuck regular Transformers. Okay, I know I have my people, and Beast Wars are the only Transformers.
No. Gen 1 is the only thing. Gen 1 only.
No. I don't think I've seen an episode of Transformers. I've only seen the movie. And I thought it was cool because they said shit twice, I think. And that's all I know about Transformers.
Wait, you have only... I'm sorry. What?
I think I saw one random episode just because I like the idea of Soundwave. So I saw an episode where like Soundwave was fucking around and like shooting cassettes at people. But
Soundwave is awesome. He's my favorite Transformer, actually.
I mean, out of the little I know about Transformers, Soundwave is my favorite Transformer. But...
He shoots a dinosaur, a pterodactyl, if you will.
Oh, a pterodon.
No. We'll get it. Do we need to go?
Bringing us into our first game. It is, what is it? What was the one with the pterodon?
It's Jurassic Park. We might as well lead with the Jurassic Park game.
Jurassic Park Institute Tour Dino Rescue, Johnny?
Whoa!
The only reason I agreed to do this episode?
Yeah. So this is an interesting game. This is the hook. So if you've never heard of Jurassic Park Institute Tour, that's because you live in America. So, Tyler, will you tell us what the Jurassic Park Institute Tour is? And then we'll tell you about what Dinosaur Rescue is, the GBA game.
So the Institute Tour was a touring, like, educational paleontology exhibition around Japan. According to the wikis, 50,000 square feet, so it was apparently huge. And if you look for it, there's all these, like, little promotional materials. There's, like, stickers from Wendy's, and there's, like a guidebook that you got when you went to the thing. So like there was clearly a bunch of merchandise surrounding this tour, but the most important and coolest thing to us is that there was an exclusive Game Boy Advance game, Johnny.
Yeah. So this thing is awesome. One, because it's exclusive and I'd never heard of it and it was wild when I saw it. And it came out of like this one exclusive event, and games like that are always like pretty cool. They have a cool factor to them. So yeah, we wanted to bring it up, and it's just your typical like, rectangular GBA box from Japan. If you haven't seen them, they're different than the American boxes. They're longer. They're pretty cool. They've got an interesting form factor. I still think ours is better, but theirs is an interesting form factor. And yeah, it's called Dinosaur Rescue, and you got it exclusively through them. And it's basically just a compilation of mini games, and you can find it for anywhere between, like, you can get a cart for like $4, but you can get it complete in box. If you're very patient and you're on Japanese auction sites like Tyler's, you can get, I don't know, what, $25 to $50, Tyler?
Yeah, it seems to be the average. Like complete in box and new, it doesn't even seem like there's a distinction between them, but like, yeah, like $50 you could probably get a copy.
Okay, I mean, and always our warning for Japanese stuff, like they'll say new and there's no guaranteeing that it was new because there's no seal. But if you are like on eBay, you're going to pay between $75 to $150, and there's going to be some with like horrendous $200. Do not really don't pay more than $100 for this game. Like, try to pay less than $100.
Yeah, people are paying
$150.
Like, there's enough copies in Yahoo auction sold listings that they will come up again. There seems to be enough copies of this out there. Like, maybe if everyone listens to this and rushes out to buy one, I think there's only one copy on Yahoo right now. So go, like, set a reminder for yourself in 6 months to go remind yourself to go get this game.
Yeah, and there are like 5 on eBay. But again, also watch out with Japanese stuff on eBay because it'll be the same picture. Because there's somebody attempting to sell it multiple times, like multiple people attempting to sell it. Yeah. So you'll see the same picture and then different prices. They're constantly underbidding each other to try and be the one who gets the sale because they're just going to go buy it from Yahoo auctions.
There's like a bunch of like weird drop shipping accounts. If you are on eBay and you see a seller selling a Japanese game and you go and look at their other listings and they all have different backgrounds, they don't actually own what they're selling. So don't buy from them.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that's it.
That is not it, Johnny.
No, there's
a
more
sticker variant. So
what? Why?
I would say
How in this exclusive game could there be a variant?
I mean, it doesn't seem super rare. So apparently there were at least 2 different versions I can see. There is what is probably the original version. It has it says like Jurassic Park Institute Tour, and then has Japanese text, and then there's a sticker variant where it says Dinosaur Rescue. They put a English Dinosaur Rescue sticker over the Japanese text, which is pretty cool. I don't know why they would do that. They took a game box that's already like 90% in English and made it 100% English. But I don't think it's just that the sticker fell off the copies, because it really seems like half the copies have the sticker, half don't. And I'm just going to say it, sticker copy's cooler because it's the same thing plus a sticker.
Yep. If you really wanted the other one, you could get away from it if you didn't want the sticker version with a little bit of besting.
Yep. And then also we saw like a super complete one, or maybe this was like a bag that someone brought home from the actual exhibition.
It looks like a sealed bag. So I'm curious about this.
So it was it's like just it's not even like a Ziploc bag. It's just like a clear plastic bag, and it included a copy of the game, what would you call it? Like a playbill, a tour manual of the exhibition, and like a Burger King toy of a little dinosaur. And it looked like it was something you got all together in one thing.
It did. And the little dinosaur, and this is where we got into the fight, and that's why we're talking about pterodons versus pterodactyls, because it includes a pterodon. And Tyler in our notes wrote, includes pterodactyl. And I'm like, no, it's a pterodon.
Whatever.
It clearly says pterodon on it, too. He just was lazy. He's like, them dinosaurs with wings is pterodactyls because I never studied a dinosaur in my life. They just big lizards to me. That's Tyler being stupid. Anyways, for people who don't know, a pterodactyl is smaller. It has teeth. A pterodon is larger. It has no teeth. Okay, that's your big difference. Also, they did not exist in the same age. One was from the Jurassic period. One was from the Cretaceous period.
All right. Well, thank you for the education. To know more, you could go to your local touring paleontology exhibition.
Hey, do you want to know how the name Cretaceous was developed?
Absolutely.
Do you want to hear about the French geologist? Well, he was really Belgian, who made it, and like what he was studying, and how he was talking about how Cretaceous is derived from Creta, which is the Latin word for chalk. Do you want to hear about that? How interesting that is?
Absolutely.
And how he was attempting to measure geologic units, and that's how we came up to this. But really, most of it is limestone and not actually chalk. There's a whole thing. Man, you geologists are crazy. I'm not getting into it. Super boring.
Okay, we're not getting into it, it turns out. The only other thing I have to say about Jurassic Park Institute Tour Dinosaur Rescue, what seemed like the fully complete package with the baggie, with the pterodon book, with the Burger King toy, went for like $45. Like,
yes.
I mean, right now we're definitely turning on like 5 people. 5 people are going to be like, "Oh yeah, I need to go find this game." But like, if you are patient enough, like no one's looking for this fucking game. You can get a really cool thing for really cheap.
Agree. Yeah. You should not race out to go get this.
All right, what's our next game, Johnny?
Our next game is going to be Turok Rage Wars.
Oh, boring. Everybody already knows about that. But we had to pick it because it seems obvious.
Yeah, well, we didn't pick all the obvious games. We got a bunch of obvious stuff we didn't pick. Do we want to talk about the obvious stuff we didn't talk about?
Yeah, we'll do the obvious stuff at the end.
Okay, but specifically, we want to talk about the Grey Cart. We're going to talk to you a little bit about Turok Rage Wars, but specifically the Grey Cart, because that is kind of rare and kind of expensive, but not that rare, and you shouldn't overpay for this thing.
The thing of it being not that rare is I feel like there's probably a somewhat limited market of people who care about like code revision N64 games. And the thing is, it's super obvious because it came on a different color cartridge. But there are other games in the N64 library, like No Mercy, that had a code revision, almost the exact same thing. It was a bug fix. But people like really didn't care about that for a long time because it wasn't obvious. But because Turok Rage Wars is so obvious, collectors have been after this game for a long time. But basically, the original edition of Turok Rage Wars, there's a co-op stage in the game that you cannot complete. So even if you do the right thing, it says mission failed, or maybe you can't do the right thing. I forget exactly what it was. I'm just going to admit I'm a fake gamer girl here. I've never played this co-op level in Turok Rage Wars on the N64. So if you noticed this and got mad, You had to send your cartridge back to Acclaim, and they would send you back a gray cartridge with the fixed code. And I'm not going to try to describe the PCB, but you can look up what the fixed PCB looks like, or you could probably like actually go and play the game co-op to make sure you have a fixed copy, because simply like transferring a sticker onto a gray cartridge is probably really easy. So this would not be a hard game to fake.
Let's talk about the different backs. What's going on there? Because all of these have different backs.
Yeah, I know I'm not going to be able to describe like what a real PCB looks like on a podcast, but I was hoping there would be like a correct number, like the imprint number that's punched into the back of the cartridge that I could tell people to look out for and be like, hey, just make sure like you got that 9 on the back, and then you're probably good with a real cartridge. There's first of all, there's a lot of copies on eBay. There's like 10 copies on eBay, and all of them are overpriced, but like, in my mind, this was like rare. Like, what's going on, guys? All of them have different back codes. Like, I don't think a single one I saw that I could make out was the same as any other. So either they were just using whatever cartridges they had available, or there's a lot of fakes. I don't know which one. So definitely be careful with this one.
Yeah, this is a real buyer beware.
Yeah. And, it's worth like $300, which, I mean, considering it's 2022 and it's N64 and people love N64, I guess that's not that bad. There's 2 copies on eBay sold right now. Both of them went for a little over $300.
That's not too bad.
And another thing I thought of, even not the gray cart, there is a set of games out there of games that are impossible to complete, and I think that's an interesting set. And even though this is just like the co-op mode, some other games I could think of, Squidge on ZX Spectrum, widely considered to be the worst ZX Spectrum game because it was programmed and released, and if you can't play the game unless you literally go into the code and fix a bug, because the game literally like breaks on the first screen. And then also Bubble Bobble Revolution on the Nintendo DS. I remember you can't beat that game. They had to release a new version of the game because the original print of that game, you cannot win the game, Bubble Bobble Revolution. That would be, maybe that's an episode.
Those are dragons. Still dragons, not dinosaurs.
Those are dragons. We need to do a clickbait episode on games that you can't actually beat.
Yeah.
Good episode.
Yeah. Games so hard, these games, are they so hard they can't be beaten? And then
question mark. I tried to beat Bubble Bobble Revolution and this happened?
Yeah. Shock face. Yeah. Gross. Get your YouTube face on now.
Game over.
Also, I've got some other theories about why this isn't as hot as a collectible as it could be. One, black carts are cooler. I think like the standard gray is the standard for most of the carts on the N64. So having the black cart is cooler, I think, anyways. Yeah, sure. This is a revision that's like cool, but like aesthetically, black cart cooler because it presents a different, not cool for uniformity if that's what you want. But yeah, anyways, I think the black cart is got a cooler look. Any opinions on that?
I wish color carts just didn't exist on N64. I think so on like a console like the Wii, like the Nintendo games got different color things, and it's like, all right, fine, my Mario Kart is in a red case or something, but like the games on N64, it'll be like, All-Star Baseball or whatever, and it's just like some random shit that's colored, so I don't like it.
Like Army Men, cool, it's green, I guess. That's cool, right?
Yeah, if it was just like the Zelda and Pokemon games, I'd be like, all right, it's kind of cool, but like Turok, I don't need my Turok in a colored cartridge.
Yeah. So and there's a bunch in black, but like it breaks your uniformity because there's also like a gray and a black version of Turok 2. I don't know. I think Turok 1 is just gray.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And we're just mentioning that on Turok 2 because both copies of Turok 2 are equally worthless. It just has a color variant. The later production copies are gray. It actually cost the manufacturer a tiny bit more to produce a colored cartridge, and that's why only some of them did it.
Yeah. And I got one last fun fact about this game.
Oh.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Canadian variant alert!
Whoa! Of the gray cartridge?
Yeah, gray cartridge. It's a sticker on the box. It says for use in Canada only. These don't pop up that often. They're pretty hard to find, and it's not something that was common. Like, there's a couple games that get the sticker, and it's a thing Nintendo does occasionally. I'm not sure what the impetus is aside from being from Canada, but like when one gets called out specifically like with a sticker rather than when Nintendo just decided to do like mass printing for Canada. But this one has a little Canadian flag sticker on it. And there's a couple N64 games that have that. Another one like GameCube, if you go look at oh my God, just lost Eternal Darkness. There it is. There's one that has like the little Canadian flag on it as well.
And so this is just the Canadian version though. This isn't like a fixed copy kind of thing.
No, nothing like that. I don't know what the revision history is for the Canadian one, if it even got one. But this one, and it's only on the box, I think, that you can tell. It just has the sticker on it.
All right, neat. I didn't know about that. I'm happy we got a Canadian variant alert here.
Yep.
Going back to your thing where you're saying like $300, like maybe like it's like kind of on the bubble of like being rare. It's not like the rarest thing in the world. I feel like Turok having 4 games on the Nintendo 64, that's like N64 has less than 300 games and 4 of them are Turok games. And Turok, I feel like, is definitely like kind of a B-list franchise on N64. Like, I don't think the Turok games are bad from what I've played of it. I've played both single and multiplayer Turok, and like they're fine FPSs, like for what you're going to get on an N64. Did we need 4 Turok games on the N64? I don't know. I don't think it's that beloved to where the point, like Mega Man, you understand why there's 6 fucking Mega Mans on NES.
So, yeah, I mean, one, I would argue that was too many Mega Men. Yeah,
but looking back, it's awesome, right? Because you never run out of games to play.
That's also over almost 700 games or more then, depending on how you count. Go listen to our list episode to see how to mess up a list. So I'm gonna tell you something I find infuriating about the Turok series, and we touched on it briefly. For the N64, is the color matching. Is that the first one only comes in gray, the rest all come in black, except Turok 2, which you can find a gray variant. Turok Rage Wars, obviously you can find a gray variant, but Turok 3 is black unless you get the PAL copy, which is gray. Like, we have just like unified this? Like, why did we need all this? I guess maybe they're like, I keep seeing like an NTSC like gray one, but I don't know if that's fake or not.
There's probably fake copies. Wait, of which one?
Of Turok 3 in gray.
Oh, so, I'm not sure on that one, actually.
I just like, I don't need that kind of variation in my life. We like, just get out of here.
Yeah, I agree.
The PAL version is
stop them.
Or just use the same color. Like if you wanted to be like if Turok was like, oh, we did all of ours only in black or like a special color, like then that makes it more interesting. But like when you've got the same color as just like a random MLB game, who cares?
And you know what? I'm okay with the idea that like the first run of copies they wanted to do black to make it cool, and then they're just like, all right, we're gonna stop paying the extra 10 cents per cartridge because now only the poor people are buying it.
Sure, but that would be like a fine delineation, but I don't think that's what happened here.
All right.
Anyways,
speaking of the Turok cartridge, we're not going to get off Turok. Okay. I think that the limited run games re-release of Turok and Turok 2 is up there for the ugliest box art of all time. And I don't know if you've seen this. So it's full box art zoomed in on the Turok and Turok 2 cartridge. The Turok 2 cartridge is the gray variant. And it's just like a weirdly zoomed in and cropped, just one cartridge laying on top of the other. And I think it's the worst.
Okay. So they have Switch boxes that are just like the Turok arts, foily Turok arts. So there's those. And then there's a combo pack, right?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
That's the one you're talking about?
I think it's the one.
Yeah, that's actually like pretty egregiously bad, honestly.
I just had to get our limited run games dig in for the episode.
Yeah, I mean that is real. Like, what is going on there?
It's not even super, like if you didn't
why is
know
it so
what
big?
I realize everyone buying that knows what an N64 game looks like, but if you didn't know, you couldn't even identify that as 2 game cartridges.
And just so you know, the cart that you get in there is like a weird red for Turok 1.
Oh, are those actual re-releases of N64 games? I think that's just like a bronze fake cartridge, and you get the
Is it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's commemorative metal retro cartridge.
Yeah, that's come on. I if it was the N64 game, I'd probably own that stupid Turok re-release.
I mean, they did a few with like. I mean, they've done a few.
They've done like I think more Game Boy Color stuff, right? And Game Boy.
They've done Game Boy Color. They've done what was that game that was supposed to be an N64 game? Ukulele.
Ukulele was not supposed to be an N64 game. What are you smoking?
Wasn't it?
They released it in like the N64 style packaging. That game was made in like the 2010s.
I thought it was maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I thought it was from an N64. I thought like initial development or something.
I mean, it's a spiritual sequel to the Banjo-Kazooie series. I don't think
is that what it is?
It was based on like Banjo 3E. Like
I don't know. It's got some. Look, I didn't prepare my research for ukulele. Okay,
you're the one who brought.
We brought up like some games that they did that had N64 cards, and that's like one of the ones they did.
All right.
Okay, that's it. That's all I was trying to bring up, and you're like, oh
no, you don't know Johnny. Your ukulele lore. Johnny, you're talking to the biggest Banjo-Kazooie fan on the show. I've played the first game and not the second game, even though it's one of my favorite games ever.
Oh, yeah? Did you play it on the PlayStation?
What are you talking about?
I don't.
Banjo-Kazooie?
I'm lying to Tyler.
You have the worst jokes. You just know how to get stonewalled, Johnny.
Yes, I understand. I understand I can't permeate your unlaughing facade.
Do you want to talk about another dinosaur game?
I do. Can we talk about some of the best dinosaur games ever made? And by that I mean pinball.
Oh, you want to talk about some pinball games? Do you want to talk about pinball or just video pinball?
Let's talk about pinball. And then we'll go to video pinball last.
All right, I Googled first dinosaur game ever, knowing I was going to get the wrong answer, Johnny. Yeah, and I found
absolutely.
Very first result is an IGN article called something like The Complete History of Dinosaur Games. And seeing it was from IGN and it was the complete history, I'm like, wow, this is definitely going to be wrong. They said the first dinosaur game was Gottlieb Caveman, an actual pinball machine that came out in 1982. And I know that's wrong because 3D Monster Maze, a game where a T-Rex chases you around a maze, came out in 1981. And I bet that's not the first dinosaur game.
Shout out to our Halloween episode last year where we talked about Monster Maze, and Halloween episode's coming soon.
Yeah. All right. But you know what? I saw this article. I'm like, you know what? Gottlieb Caveman, even if it's not the first dinosaur game, that's a pretty interesting game. So it's a pinball video game hybrid, which is something they were trying in like this year of 1982. And then they're like, oh yeah, this doesn't work. So there was this, Baby Pac-Man, Granny and the Gators. There might've been like one or two more. But basically you just play pinball, and then at a certain time in the game, you like shoot it into a saucer. It holds your ball, and there's a joystick in the middle of the cabinet, and you start playing a video game. And for Caveman, there's a CRT embedded into the back of the playfield, and you're just playing like a shitty maze game. Just imagine Pac-Man. And then at some point when you die in the game, it brings you back into pinball. And they made 1,800 of these, which is to say that is not very many, because it's a terrible concept. It's not fun to play. You'll see them at shows. You'll see Baby Pac-Man a lot more. Baby Pac-Man, very similar idea, but you play Pac-Man instead of a shitty dinosaur-themed Pac-Man ripoff. And really, that's all I got to say. It's like $2,000, and I would say if you're buying a pinball machine or an arcade game, you should buy one that is good at the thing it's trying to do, not something that's bad at both of them.
Yeah, that's a big pass for me. Do not buy that.
Yeah, it came out the same year as Gottlieb Haunted House, one of the most beloved pinball machines of all time. You should buy that instead. And that's a Halloween theme, so there you go.
Oh, man, the back glass on that is so good.
Oh, my God, Haunted House is an absolute classic. Such a good game.
God, so fucking good. So good.
Johnny, do you want to talk about some fake pinball for people who don't want to spend $2,000 on a bad pinball machine?
Nope, I want to talk about people who do want to spend $2,000 on... or at least 150 on Trespasser.
Oh, okay. So we're skipping over our other pinball game. All right, fine. If you asked me, Johnny, to name the most collectible dinosaur game, the first game that would actually come to my mind is Trespasser: The Lost World Jurassic Park. And you know what? Now that I'm saying that out loud, I realize like Dino Park Tycoon is probably the correct answer. But Trespasser is
it
the
what? Most collectible? Like, what are you?
I mean, I don't know. The most expensive, the one that like most people would think of and think is worth thousands of dollars, would probably be.
I don't think anyone really thinks of Dino Park Tycoon except for you, Stefan, VG Collectaholic, and like a few other people who listen to this podcast. Aside from you guys, no one is thinking about Dino Park Tycoon.
It's kind of the king of the 3DO set. Whether or not it's the rarest 3DO game, it's like the one that people think of. So in game collecting, like it's not just 3DO like a rare uncommon game. It's like the top game of a set. No, I feel like that is
Yeah, it's the one 3DO people think of. Yeah. All 7 of you.
But like also nobody thinks of like specific big box PC games.
I'm going to tell you but people do think of games like Dino Crisis.
So you're going to say Dino Crisis is more collectible than Trespasser or Dino Tycoon?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, because people have heard of that. Like, Dino Crisis is a big game, also fits in the survival horror genre, was big on the PS1. So, yeah, I'm going to say Dino Crisis. Not necessarily more interesting, and not something I wanted to put on this list, because I could have. But if we're asking for examples as a rebuttal, then yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, go on.
Dino Crisis. Well,
I'm not disparaging Trespasser because I think that's interesting, because I think Jurassic Park is a huge franchise and it's got a bunch of games that people we could have done all Jurassic Park games and like people would not have heard of them. And Trespasser's probably one they missed, and I think it's interesting to talk about. So tell us about it.
Okay, so that's the crazy thing. So I don't even have written down when Trespasser came out, but it was like 1997 or something, right? 1998. There must have been like fucking 10 Jurassic Park games that came out in 1998. This was like in the deluge of like Jurassic Park garbage coming to every platform.
But this was also developed by DreamWorks. And published by EA.
Yeah, it was made by Looking Glass Studios guys. Seamus Blackley is the one I know, and I don't know why I know that name or why I thought I knew that name, but he's a guy. He worked on Ultima Underworld and System Shock. He's like a physicist though. He makes video game physics systems. He worked on like flight simulators as well. So Trespasser, The Lost World Jurassic Park. I don't know why I'm saying the full name that nobody says. It's a first-person shooter adventure game kind of hybrid. It's not, they didn't want to make Quake. They're really ambitious, the guys who made this game. So they had a really big ambition. They wanted to make something new and exciting because honestly, 1998, like we're getting close to the most exciting point in first-person shooter history. And they didn't want to make Quake. They didn't want to make, I mean, if they made Half-Life, they probably would have done a lot better. They wanted a game with dinosaurs that had like AI routines, like different levels of hunger and aggression, and they would all like go about their day like a normal day, which is a lot different than I see the protagonist, I'm going to shoot them. And then they wanted a whole physics engine. They wanted destructible environments. They didn't want to have just a gun that appears in the bottom middle of the screen and is like a static image. You have a freaking wibbly wobbly arm that goes around and picks up items like the gun. And like when you move the perspective, the gun like drags a little bit behind because there's physics on the arm. It's fucking wild, and it doesn't work. Every FPS you play from this era is built on like a super solid engine, like the Half-Life Source engine or the Unreal engine, and this is just a complete clusterfuck where they wanted to do something totally new, and they didn't have the time or budget to make it happen, which makes it 1, an absolute clusterfuck, and 2, a super cult classic because it's something completely unique. It's a PC exclusive, and it kind of never went anywhere. It's not something that's on every console. It's something that was released in 1998, and then they failed and probably went on to make 7 more Jurassic Park games.
Yeah, and that's interesting too. Well, 1, it came out after Lost World, which was also kind of a failure because that movie was just like not great.
I bet that movie made many millions of dollars.
Oh, absolutely. But definitely not a failure in the terms of finances, where it clearly did fine. But, you know, it wasn't a great movie. And then this game, you're right, though. It's weird that it was in an era where they were definitely getting FPSs right, and then they managed to not.
I mean, yeah, they could have made an Unreal Tournament style game, but I feel like it would get just as forgotten. I feel like it's remembered because it tried to do something new. If you go look at footage of the game, this is going to be a lofty comparison. The game I might think of first when I see it, because of the way like boxes are flying around with physics, is like Half-Life 2. And man, this game is not Half-Life 2, but for being 6 years before Half-Life 2, or Half-Life 2 being like a groundbreaking physics game, is pretty impressive. And an absolute clusterfuck. And there is an active modding community. And I don't mean like, it could be, maybe it's one guy like posting updates, but like, what's the website? Trescom.org. Trescom.org. There's a Jurassic Park Trespasser blog post update for some new content for the game like every month or two. For a game that like over 20 years old, like people are still playing this piece of shit busted game. Like new levels, new HD remakes and mods. It's crazy how much people love this game.
It's also crazy to me that there's this whole like genre based on dinosaurs and then a subgenre based on dinosaur FPSs. Because this is not the only one.
This is the second dinosaur FPS on our list.
I know so there's like one that's it's not collectible because it was a mobile game. But did you ever hear of Dino Crisis, Dungeon in Chaos by Capcom?
Oh, I thought you were just gonna say Dino Crisis again. No, I've never heard of it. No.
Dino Crisis Dungeon in Chaos is a mobile game that was like an FPS as well, but like looked more like Doom than
I imagine. This sounds like a cell phone game almost. Was this like an actual like iOS Android game?
No, it was a cell phone game.
Okay.
It was like 2004 or something, or 2000. I mean, I think 2004. I'm looking now. 2003. Man, so
as someone who was playing some of those cell phone games, you had like a game that looked like Doom in 2005 on my cell phone. I was all there for it. Cause I mean, I was also way into FPS back then. So the idea of even playing a mobile game that is an FPS was just so mind blowing to me.
And like, just to give people an idea too, like I know you're thinking, however many dinosaur games you're trying to think of right now, there are more than that. There are so many dinosaur games. We could have literally done 50 collectible dinosaur games here.
Could we?
If we just wanted to do a listicle. Yes, there are so many. I mean, well, when you do those listicles that are big like that, they're not necessarily collectible. They just exist, right? That's what they really mean by, hey, 50 collectible games, like all those articles or YouTube videos. It's more like 50 dinosaur games that exist, but there are a ton. Think of like every game that you could put into as a dinosaur game. And we'll save that from when we talk about our mentions list, because we'll go over a bunch of those, and a lot of them are franchises. Think about how many Jurassic Park games are. How many would you say? At least 15 of them? At least?
I mean, there's probably way more than that, right?
I'm talking about individual games that don't count that, like, on these two systems, they are actually different games, like, of the same title. Like, we're not even talking about, like, Jurassic Park Operation Genesis on the Xbox or the PS2, which are expensive and like considered collectible, because I just didn't want to put another Jurassic Park game on the list, or Jurassic Park 2. What is it? Jurassic Park 2 for Game Boy, the PAL version. The Chaos Continues or something. I think that's what it's called. The PAL version is like pretty expensive and kind of hard to find. I mean, any of the Game Boy games are kind of collectible and also hard to find, CIB. So like we could extend this list out just with Jurassic Park games a whole lot. So, yeah.
Trespasser's the coolest one. I'm just saying, because a lot of them are multi-platform. I think the 3DO one, that's an exclusive adventure game too. That's a pretty cool one. I'm all about the exclusives, Johnny. If it's on 2 platforms, throw it in the trash.
Look, I kind of want the Jurassic Park for the 3DO because it's exclusive.
Yeah. So if it's an exclusive and it's like kind of hard to play and like there's no remakes and there's just like no easy way to play it and it's like not on Steam, oh yeah, give me that on my shelf. That's the stuff I want, which is exactly what Trespasser is. I
mean, people should also understand by now, I like big franchises, like big noticeable pop culture franchises like Jurassic Park. If you give me a game that's also an exclusive, sign me up. Like, aside from Halloween games, that's like my second favorite thing to buy.
All right, Johnny, going into how much this game is going to cost you, I don't know. There are no complete in box American copies on eBay or on eBay sold. There's not even like a pie in the sky buy it now right now.
That's not true.
Are you serious?
PCM, yeah.
Are you sure they're not European copies?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I'm talking about the one that came in the shitty DVD case.
Okay,
which was like the budget release version.
Copies here.
Yeah, I know. But I'm letting people know that there is like that shitty budget release they did where they just put a DVD case out. So, but there's a big box release, which is your point, which is hard to find. And the problem is that all the big boxes you see on eBay are all the European versions.
So, yes, that's at least what I looked at. I think that DVD case one, that's European too. That's a British re-release.
Is it?
But an English complete in box copy, a pretty nice one, sold for $220. There was a sealed American copy that was put up for buy it now, $150. I probably saw it like 2 afters after it was listed, and it had already sold. I don't know why people put buy it nows on auctions, but holy shit, would I have bought that. And then there's like 4 or 5 other copies around eBay, but I think they're all European, and they're all in like the $100 to $200 range, which is probably where I would guess a complete in box American copy would fall. Also, I think Dan Gomez wants this game, and I don't think he has it yet. So, Christmas gift idea for Dan Gomez. I'm just saying.
Okay.
WATA employee and head researcher Dan Gomez. If anyone, what an important man now.
Yeah, way too cool for us now.
He definitely is. But you know what? I have Trespasser, and he doesn't. So, who's winning collecting now?
So you've got your nice copy of Trespasser?
I sure do. Oh, yeah. Also, I guess we should mention the if you just want the jewel case, those are super available for like $40, but don't buy PC games in just a jewel case. I realize it's not like buying a disc only game, but I mean, it's a PC game. It's basically the same as buying a disc only game.
Ooh, is that a hot take?
I don't know. I mean, it's so weird that like I can look at a PlayStation game and be like, oh yeah, there's the game. And then I look at a jewel case PC game and I'm like, this disgusting piece of trash. Who would own this? When it's
I have
so
similar,
much cheaper
I have
and more
similar
available.
thoughts. I have the same thoughts because my wife was like, oh, she's like, she's telling me, she's like, oh, we have Warhammer. I'm like, really? She's like, and then she brings me out this jewel case. And I'm like, no, this is not. I understand that the game is in there, dear, but this is not Warhammer.
Yeah. Definitely agree.
Yeah. That's very funny, but yeah.
All right, take us out with the game people have been waiting for, Johnny.
Yeah.
They've made it through all these less interesting games like the Jurassic Park Institute Tour, some Japanese game no one's ever heard of that's super interesting, but let's tell them something even better.
No, this is not better, but this is one you've heard of, and I wanted to come back to something a little more relatable, and we didn't do Dino Crisis, which we definitely could have done, but we did Dino Land for the Sega Genesis. And why? Because people love to collect renovation games, but this one is excellent because it's 2 things, Tyler. It's a video pinball. You love pinball, so this is right in your wheelhouse, right? You love this game?
I mean, there are video pinball games I like, but Dino Land is not one of them.
Okay. So, yeah, Dino Land is a video pinball. It's available on the Sega Genesis. It's also available on the Sharp X68000.
Whoa! I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I didn't put in a couple facts because I wanted to make this more interesting for Tyler because he was so bored with me.
It's only Genesis and X68000? What the fuck? That's so weird.
Yeah, well, Android, you could get it on Android if you really wanted it. But, look, and it is hard to find on the X6800, so you're not going to find it. But people love the renovation games, was really my point for this. And the best part about this is, like, every time you think about a renovation game on the Genesis, like, people love collecting that. It's the Taito of the Sega Genesis, and people go hard at those. And this one's like a game you can get complete for like $40 or $50. In the world where prices have exploded, Dino Land is still just like a $50 game that you can go get and has like cute box art and it says renovation on it. Like, what more do you want? And it's not in your standard like Genesis black grid or red box. It's in like a colorful green box with like a kind of a full art frame.
Sure. It's really weird that it doesn't even look like a pinball game. Like you would have
You
zero
would not
clue
guess
this is
that.
a pinball game unless you
No,
turn it around.
if you had not looked at this, you would there's nothing about this that says pinball at all. The Sharp X68000 cover is even like more different because they don't really look like there's clearly some pterodons there, and I say they're pterodons because they don't have teeth in this art. So that's your big difference. They did not animate them, but like they hardly even look like dinosaurs. And they don't really on the renovation cover either, but they made them even like less. I don't know. It's a cute, chibi little pinball game for you if you're interested. Renovation, cheap. That's my main point. Cheap renovation game. How often do you get those?
I just think collecting renovation is weird because it's like a publisher, and I know people like it's like being a fan of A24 movies, and like I am a fan of A24 movies, but they don't make movies; they're a distributor. So it's weird to be like, yes, I agree with the taste of this distributor, but they're not making their shit. Like it's a Wolf Team game.
Okay,
and also, man, renovation. Not every one of those is a banger. Just saying.
No, not every. I mean, you got your Jennifer Capriati's, just fine game. Would you have preferred Tom Mason's Dinosaurs for Hire? Everybody says Dinosaurs for Hire, but I wanted to do a list check for you and let people know that it's Tom Mason's Dinosaurs for Hire, which is from the Malibu comic, if you didn't know, because Malibu was a popular-ish, using that term very lightly, in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm working on my Game Boy list. We're gonna get all of those Tom Masons in there to make sure everyone.
Yeah. So this is it's a favorite when they like hide their like little sub name. Like, did we need to call this Tom Mason's Dinosaurs for Hire? Was that making it any cooler? Like Tom Mason was like, people need to know that I did this, and now maybe 20 years later, maybe he wishes his name wasn't on it.
Oh, so
maybe he's
not. Let me bring us off topic for a second, Johnny. Can you bring up Championship Pool for the Game Boy?
Sure.
And let's look at the box. Oh, you know what? You could bring up NES. You could probably bring up any copy of Championship Pool. And I'm sorry, is that game called Championship Pool?
Oh, I see what you mean. The Billiard Congress of America presents champion.
Okay.
Oh, man.
The Billiard Congress of America presents Championship
Hold on, can
Pool.
I just stop you right there?
Yes.
The Billiard Congress? The fuck?
The Billiard Congress. Yes. I've got another bonus here though. So I don't like it if something only appears on the box art and like not on the manual or like within the manual when it refers to itself. I'll be like, all right, that doesn't really count as part of the title of the game. On the NES and Game Boy version, the title screen says Championship Pool. On the Genesis version, it's the Billiard Congress of America presents Championship Pool. So does the Genesis version have a different name?
Yeah. And then do you want to know that the PAL version does not have the Billiard Congress of America presents on the box?
Europeans are very picky about their pool congresses. Why would they want to know that the American Billiard Congress?
I understand that.
I mean, that's garbage.
I understand that. But
makes it less desirable.
we wouldn't take that off the rugby games.
Because we wouldn't release their rugby games. I can think of
that's
one
joke,
rugby
Tyler.
game.
You found the joke. You got it.
Oh my God. Shut up. We're canceling your jokes. You can't make jokes.
I can't. They're not traditional jokes in the way. I'm making like, hey, the rugby games that we bring over, we don't bring over.
But we do. If there were no rugby games, it would be a better joke. But the fact that I can think of a rugby game makes it a worse joke.
You also thought about that the Billiard Congress of America presents Championship Pool as an issue.
It is. I don't know.
Look, you're a weirdo. I don't disagree with you. And you're right. It should be called the Billiard Congress of America. I think, but the title screen doesn't. We all know my stance on lists. Like 4 titles at least. 4 titles. What's the preferred title?
I know. So the thing is, I want just the main title. I always have alternate titles, but like, what's the main one going to be for this? And I went for my Game Boy list. I went with Championship Pool because if you look in the manual and you look at the title screen, it's all just Championship Pool.
But
the guy I feel like when it gets to the Genesis and probably
that.
the SNES version, I think they start using Billiard Congress of America Presents a little bit more in those.
Dude, so let's talk about break time since we're just talking about pool games, all right?
Okay.
What do you think the title of break time is?
Let me bring it up. That's on NES?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of the hardest games to beat on NES, or am I thinking of Championship Pool? Anyway. Break Time, the National Pool Tour.
There it is.
All right.
No one calls it that, though.
Oh, man, fix your lists. What are you guys doing? It's the National Pool Tour. Look at the title screen. It says in huge letters.
Yeah. I think the joke about this podcast is going to become every episode of this podcast is a fix your list episode.
Like, why did we even bother making a whole episode of the NES list? Is
that the one where they try to fix your list? Oh, that's every episode. Yeah, that's right.
All right. Man. Oh, I was going to mention, just because we haven't mentioned Joe Leo on the episode yet. I don't even know if he likes being called Joe. I've been talking to Joe for so long, and I don't know if I'm supposed to call him Joseph. He is coming up with a system for determining if a game is different enough to be considered a different game. So he wants to solve the Contra Probotector problem. And
it's not a problem. They're different games.
It's true. He wants to come up with an objective kind of grading scale to determine if two games should be considered the different games. I cannot wait for him to come up with this, and I want to break it with all the weirdest edge cases. I'm really excited for that.
I can't. Yeah, but you don't let exceptions make all of your rules.
But if I can come up with, like, the whole point of a system to determine this thing should be that it covers all of the exceptions, because it's a system to basically weed out exceptional cases, right? And I mean, he can make the system better, but I can't wait to break the system, so he has to make it better.
Okay. You are the fun police.
How is it the fun police? I want to make it better by finding weird, dumb things that only like weird collectors think about. Not even like a regular collector would be like, oh yeah, I'm getting break time. I'm putting it on my list. You have to be a pretty weird collector to be like, is it break time or is it break time the World Pool Tour or whatever?
Yeah, I know. I mean, but that's what this podcast is about, right? If you're a fan of this podcast, that's what you want to get into the weeds about dumb shit like this. You should be here for this. If you aren't here for this, then I mean, there's like 10 other podcasts, I think, for you, but this is where the weirdos go. All right. Yes. Join us. If you want to be with all the weirdos, I'm going to plug the Patreon right now. You can find us on our Discord, which you get access to by joining our Patreon, which you can do for as little as $2 or as much as $6, but don't do that. Join at the $4 spot, because that gets you the bonus content. Or if you just want the Discord, it's $2, and you can find that on patreon.com/collectorsquest. Okay, plug over. So we were talking about, before we got off on this, all your lists are bad, and especially your list that contain games about pool being super bad. We were talking about all these dinosaur games, and I was telling you that there are a ton of dinosaur games, and you're like, are there really that many? So I'm going to let's go through our mentions and think about how big these series are, and this is just like some of them. This isn't even all of them, and think about how many games that they have in their series and how we could easily get to 50.
Okay.
All right? First one, I'm just going to throw it out, Bonk. Oh, I know people were like screaming, like, I can't believe they didn't talk about Bonk, because it's more about a caveman, but there are dinosaurs in it, and I know they don't exist together, but that's not my fault. Okay, this is the game. That don't get to me about history.
We had Gottlieb Caveman on our list, so
yeah, right. So, Bonk, Radical Rex. I know everyone's like, man, you didn't talk about Radical Rex. We talk about it a lot.
We always talk about Radical Rex. You don't have a sticker. You need to unsubscribe from the podcast. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is.
So what else you got on here? You have 3D Dinosaur Adventure.
I was going to bring that up. Just it's my childhood game. I didn't play Oregon Trail. I played 3D Dinosaur Adventure. It's just an educational kids game. Because guess what? In 1993, dinosaurs were really cool for some reason, Johnny.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know what happened in 1993.
Was there, like, I don't know, Jurassic Park? We also didn't talk about Color Dinosaur Game. You know why we didn't talk about it? Because it's not a game. See the last episode.
Boom!
Gotcha.
Did you know that Tommy Tallarico did the music for Color a Dinosaur, Johnny?
I didn't, But it
Wait, you
makes sense
didn't?
'cause
That's like the one
doesn't do
trivia fact
games.
about that game.
Yeah. So there's a whole animated movie called We're Back, which got a bunch of games, which isn't on our list here.
It's true. There's
Go ahead.
There's a Falcom game that's just called Dinosaur.
Oh, shit.
It's an RPG with like a bunch of like anthropomorphic furry guys on the front. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, in terms of like a video game box, I think it looks pretty cool. It comes with a lot of shit, but it's just a random Japanese RPG that no one will ever play or care about. So you can get it for like $20 though. I've got my copy of Falcom Dinosaur.
Of course you do. What about Star Fox Adventures?
You were arguing that this isn't a dinosaur game, but it's
Isn't
literally
that-
a
you tell-
dinosaur game
no,
that
you-
got Star Fox pasted on top of it.
You tell me why it's a dinosaur game.
Because it's a dinosaur game that got Star Fox pasted on top of it. There's dinosaur stuff.
Dinosaurs.
It's a dinosaur game.
So there's a whole Joe and Mac franchise that we could throw on here as well.
Oh yeah. Forgot about them. Some very collectible re-releases of the Joe and Max series.
Yeah, you can
I hear you
definitely
can get the special blue card, right?
Yeah, where we can. Well, only if you buy the console. It's a console
I know.
exclusive.
Oof, it's gotta be pretty rare.
We could talk about Evo, where you evolve into a dinosaur.
Mm.
Yeah, didn't think about that one, did you?
We could talk about Super Mario World, the standalone release, the first appearance of Yoshi as like a dinosaur that you can ride that actually matters, that isn't a stupid puzzle game.
Oh,
actually, is Super Mario World the first appearance of Yoshi in general, or did he have those stupid puzzle games in NES first?
I don't. Well, no, because there's a Yoshi game on the NES, right?
Yeah, but
Yoshi.
NES, it's went 3 years into the SNES lifespan. So.
I don't know that. That's why I'm trying to figure out the release date of that.
All right, so Yoshi came out in late 1991. So Super Mario World in Japan came out in 1990. So I think Super Mario World is actually the first appearance of Yoshi, which makes a lot of sense, honestly. I mean, why would he have a stupid puzzle spin-off first?
Right. There are how many Yoshi games? How many Yoshi games are there?
I mean, in the modern era of like Yoshi's Woolly World, Yoshi's Crafted World,
yes,
Touch and Go.
Every game that features Yoshi.
20?
Super Mario World 2, which features all the baby Yoshis.
I mean, kind of Yoshi's first title game.
Can we talk about the weird naming conventions of Mario real quick? Because I mean, everyone talks about Mario Brothers, Mario being Mario and Luigi Mario, but also all Yoshis are Yoshi. Does Yoshi have an individual name, or are we just like calling him Cat? Like all cats are Cat? Like what's happening?
I forgot what game it was. It might have been a Smash Brothers game, but like the actual names of the Yoshi are their colors. So like Black Yoshi's name is Black Yoshi.
Oh my god.
So
racist.
I don't know if that probably means something, right? I don't know. They got colors. Pink Yoshi is Pink Yoshi. It means
there's
something. They're individual characters is what I'm
saying.
saying. Maybe Pink Yoshi has a distinct personality from Green Yoshi, who I'm sure is just called Yoshi.
So I don't know about the lore here. Is there only one blue Yoshi and only one pink Yoshi?
Have you ever seen multiple of them on the same screen?
I have not, but also Yoshi isn't called Green Yoshi. So is he Yoshi Prime?
I mean, he's the original, and then all the others are clones?
I don't know. Someone's gonna have to
if you know what, if this isn't touched on in the Mario and Luigi games, then I can't believe that they're missing the joke, right? It seems like something they would make unnecessary world building in, because they like poking jokes in those Mario and Luigi games. Those games are
and Yoshi, like, he's a prominent character that's going to be in the Super Mario Worlds at the Universal Parks, which are it's open in Japan and opening in Southern California soon, and then soon in Florida as well. So that's going to be exciting. Video game theme parks. Are you ready?
I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, they're going to have exclusive Nintendo merchandise and stuff. Like, I'm going to want to go there to get like some.
Now is the time to be
Nintendo
going to
shit.
Universal and be buying their Super Mario stuff while it's not like released yet, because now this is going to be like pre-park. So we're going to have all these pre-park stuff, right?
Is that a thing?
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, man.
It isn't, but that's how I would market it if I was trying to sell people on eBay, which will be happening in a year from now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but like, is any of that shit's probably... Can you buy something from Galaxy's Edge and sell it for a markup?
Yes.
Wow.
They were selling the Sprite and Coke bottles that you got there because they were shaped like thermal detonators at a premium.
Oh my God. See, I don't know. I'm not like a theme park person. Like, I like roller coasters, but I'm not into like the whole theming kind of stuff. Like, it's fine, I'll go to it, but I'm not like gonna go back every year kind of thing. So I don't know if I would get into like collecting all the park tchotchkes, because I don't. What are they going to have that would interest me as a video game collector? Like, they have an exclusive Switch game? Like, holy fuck, am I there for that? But other than that, like, I'm going to get, like, what, a Mario-themed cup or, like, a collectible mushroom plushie?
There was, I think, a book, a Harry Potter book that had, like, a Wizarding World stamp on it. Can you imagine if they have Mario games with, like, Universal stamps on them?
They must. They must have some kind of video game that is exclusive to the park, even if it's just a variant. Because there's so many weirdos like us that would buy that. Like, not even, like, you don't have to be a weirdo to buy it. There are casual video game collectors who would see that and be like, whoa, it's the park.
We would be, you and I would both be buying it instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
I mean, if it's a Nintendo game, I'm not going to buy some third-party game, but...
Well, of course it's going to be a Nintendo game. Of course it's going to be a Nintendo game.
I don't know.
Like,
I don't...
It's Nintendo World.
What if it's like a Camelot software game? Like,
how would they get the license to Mario?
Like, I'm saying, what if it's like Mario Tennis Aces? Like, I wouldn't buy that.
It still wouldn't matter. You would still buy it. You would still buy it.
Mario Tennis Aces? I would buy Mario Golf Super Rush. I wouldn't buy Mario Tennis Aces.
Did you buy Mario Hotel?
Oh, fuck yeah.
There you go.
You know what? I'm a traditional video game collector, Johnny, who has been at this for a long time, and that means a certain thing. It means I look down upon sports games.
Okay.
And I think we're going to get into a future episode where we talk about what the fuck video game collectors think about genres, and it's a little bit weird, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm not changing my opinion of sports games. I don't need them.
Also, like, just tangent into that real quick. I don't understand what's happening in the world today where now Madden games have a certain cachet. I know the world has changed and I didn't move on with it when people are like, oh no, Madden games. And they like talk about how collectible they are. And in my world, all Madden games are garbage.
I've played like one Madden game in my life. It was Madden 64.
It's not about the quality of the game.
Fun, so.
It's not about the quality of the game, because I had the Madden, the first John Madden on Super Nintendo, and I loved that game, but I only had 3 games. So like you play what you love, and I just sat there and played the 49ers, and it was great. But from a collector perspective, we're talking like 2004. You're like, oh my God, all these Madden trash games, get out of here.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is one comes out every year, and the type of people who play Madden games, they ditch their old copies and just buy the new copy, whereas the type of person who buys an RPG is like, wow, I just invested 80 hours in this game, I'm keeping it on my shelf forever.
Yeah. But basically all the Madden games are just football RPGs, and they invest way more time than that. Yeah,
they invest all that time, but then they throw it out the second the new one comes out, which doesn't happen with RPGs.
But now they aren't throwing them out as much. What I'm saying is now you got a lot of people grading them and enshrining them in WADA and VGA cases, which I think is weird because I'm used to throw that garbage away and get the new one.
I mean, yeah, I agree. It's weird, but they're going for a different market, and I think that's interesting. So John Hopper, the guy who runs the video game investing podcast, or maybe he changed the name to Power Players. He graded a bunch of like big box, like I'm just gonna, it's bullshit. like Jordan vs. Bird, like early copies of Madden, or just like even I'm sure he has the first cover appearance of LeBron James in the NBA 2K series, whatever game that was. But he's going to a sports convention and he's going to try to sell it to sports card people. And if you're used to the sports card world, like $12 for a sealed copy of like the first NBA 2K with LeBron James, if you show them a graded copy and it's $200 or something, they might not even blink because there are so many sports cards that are in the hundreds of dollars there. They'll just be like, oh, that would be a neat thing to own as like a side thing in my collection. So maybe the sports people are geniuses is what I'm saying, Johnny.
Maybe.
And you should encourage it, because if the high end pivots away from like games that matter to Madden games, that is kind of the best case scenario, because everyone can exist in peace and harmony, because no video game collector is going to care about Madden games.
Are you sure?
I'm not saying no, but you know what? Joan Bone likes Madden games. I'm not going to say no video game collector cares about Madden games, but it is a very niche specialty in terms of if you're collecting video games and actually care about sports games. What are we talking about? Is this a dinosaur episode?
Yeah, this is a dinosaur episode where we're talking a lot about not dinosaurs. But we were also just going through the list. There are a lot of dinosaur games. A lot. So many dinosaur games. Like Dinosaur King on the 3D on the DS. There's like all the weird dinosaur games on the DS. But I'm gonna go. We had a couple more. Dino Park Tycoon we touched on. Flintstones. Those would be dinosaur games, right? If you're making the big list. Tokyo Jungle, one of your favorites.
I've never played it, but okay.
Yep, one of your favorites.
I think it's going to be one of the most beloved PS3 exclusives.
Okay.
And the last characters you unlock in that game are dinosaurs.
Also, you've got Dino Stalkers on the PlayStation 2, right? All the Dino Crisis games, which there's like, what, 3? Maybe 4?
Sure. Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, there are a lot of games with dinosaurs. Home Improvement on Super Nintendo. The first level is a dinosaur-themed level.
Did I say
dinosaur game?
The animated series We're Back. All those games came out, which is on multiple systems. What else?
Why are we just listing dinosaur? What Dino Wars with a Z? Dinosaur game, probably.
No, don't talk about that one yet. That's the last on the list for a reason. You have Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. What? Magical Dinosaur Tour.
Wait, did you write that down somewhere?
Yes, it's on
Oh my god, Dino Wars? Okay.
Yes, I have it last on the list for a reason.
I'm sorry.
It's the last thing. Anyways, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. There's a lot of dinosaur games. Magical Dinosaur Tour for the TurboGrafx CD.
All the Godzilla games are dinosaur games?
Oh, the hot take. Is Godzilla a dinosaur?
What is the definition of a dinosaur?
You tell me. I'm asking you. Is it a dinosaur?
So I would say if there's only one Godzilla, but there's not. Godzilla is clearly bred because there's Godzilla Jr. too. So yes, Godzilla's a dinosaur. Like, because you look at a crocodile, and in some sense, you're like, I mean, yeah, that's a dinosaur, right? So Godzilla's a dinosaur.
Disagree.
I looked it up before the show. He's from 300 million years ago. He's like literally from the era of dinosaurs.
But he's a lizard. Lizards aren't dinosaurs.
They're a lizard. What is the crocodile's like a lizard?
Hey, look, but if we're saying that dinosaurs might have feathers, then they're not reptilian, therefore Godzilla not a dinosaur.
No, I mean the media perception of dinosaurs is incorrect, but we still understand that Jurassic Park dinosaurs are dinosaurs and Godzilla's a dinosaur, even though they should have feathers. I'm
going to ask Google right now, is Godzilla... Oh, man. I typed is Godzilla, and a dinosaur is the first thing that popped up.
Oh, for me, it was is Godzilla a girl was the first thing that popped up.
Oh, I guess.
Oh, what is the thing that Google's recommending to you right now?
What kind of dinosaur is Godzilla?
Did maybe this get addressed in the 1991 film Godzilla versus King Ghidorah?
Maybe. Did it?
According to the 1991 film Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, Godzilla is actually a mutated, unique species of dinosaur called Godzillasaurus.
Okay, Godzilla's a dinosaur. Boom. Man, we could have opened our whole list to all these Godzilla games. Still telling me my list isn't 50 games yet, asshole? You're helping prove my
literally
point.
No one said that. There is no feedback for this episode. Everybody skipped it.
Yeah. No, you. I'm talking to you. You're like, we couldn't have 50. You couldn't do 50 collectible games.
When did I say that? You are this is the second time today you're gaslighting me.
No.
I don't like this because this time it's recorded. Someone can go back and find it. But
yeah. Anyways.
All right, can we end this thing? Talk about whatever you want to say about Dino Wars.
Okay, I just wanted to say there's more dinosaur games out there than people are giving credit for. There's a Wonder Book one for the PS3. There's the whole, hey, Disney's Dinosaur, Ice Age movies. There's a lot of fucking dinosaur games. And not to mention Land Before Time, which has a whole slew of stupid dinosaur games. So on multiple
Ice Age
systems.
movie games you think of?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Very collectible.
Well, it's Dawn of the Dinosaurs is Ice Age 3.
I mean, there's probably dinosaurs in the first Ice Age games. And, I think that the first released Ice Age game is a pretty big DreamWorks collectible, if you ask me. I think people are really going to be looking for that one, just like the first Shrek game. You should invest in the first sealed Shrek game.
Look, there's a whole Shrek episode we haven't done. Okay. And I want people to understand there are a lot of expensive Shrek games out there. A lot of them. Weird, rare, hard to find Shrek stuff. Why does it exist? I don't know. Maybe because everyone loves the memes. Maybe because Shrek was so goddamn popular that it's crazy. Shrek is weird. What can I tell you?
Man,
anyways,
that can we do that as our next theme episode? Because that's like another one that I would actually be interested in because I think there is some cool Shrek stuff.
Yeah, we can. I actually have a list already pre-done. So
okay,
yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. We can. Do
we got Gen X people listening to this show, and they're like, I'm done with Collector's Quest. They're gonna make a Shrek episode.
So the last game I wanted to mention was Dino Wars, and why did I want to mention that, Tyler?
Because it has robotic dinosaurs, so it has some kind of tangential link to Transformers Beast Wars.
No, almost. You almost got there. It has a link back to Bubble Bobble, where we talked about how the creator wanted to make them metal dinosaurs with horns, and then what was it? Metal. They wanted to make them
dinosaurs.
Yeah, robot dinosaurs. And this is robot dinosaurs. So I'm bookending them. We've done it. There's your listicle of dinosaur games.
Great.
Enjoy.
Perfect. I'm going to say Dino Wars, I think, is a game because of its very, very stupid title with a Z. It probably doesn't get the credit it's due. I don't think it's like amazing, but like it's an NES platformer and people like those, and no one ever talks about Dino Wars.
No one ever does. And
people call every piece of build, people call like Deadly Towers a hidden gem. Like Dino Wars might as well not exist. I don't know why. Because of its stupid name.
It's got the Z, which is one of my premier collecting items. I love finding games with an unnecessary Z in them to focus on.
Coming to you next week on Collector's Quest.
Shout out to Peaceful. He knows what I'm talking about. I love a Z in there. Anyways, check out Dino Wars. Not actually a terrible game. Anyways, we did it. We talked a lot about dinosaurs. There's a lot of dinosaur games. And I know when people were thinking collectible dinosaur games, they probably expected a lot of the stuff we did on the listicle rather than our 5 collectible games.
I mean, I know like there's some aspect of like the most basic information is the most useful to people. Like someone who wants to know about collectible dinosaur games, really what they need to know about is something like Dino Park Tycoon and Operation Genesis. But because like they're so discussed, to me it's so boring if we just had an episode about those games.
I agree. And that's why we do weird stuff. And that's why we exist, Tyler, because we don't exist
because we're not fucking YouTube clickbait. We're our own kind of clickbait.
Yeah. Now, if we want to really get into, Go Diego, perhaps. Do you know Go Diego?
The Dora the Explorer for older kids, of course.
Yeah. So there's the Great Dinosaur Rescue. For the PS2, if you want to get into it. I'm sorry. It's Nickelodeon's Go Diego Go. There's my joke. That's it, folks. Gotcha. All right.
We're done with dinosaurs.
Yeah,
I'm going to go pick up a collector's question, Johnny. How about that?
All right, please do.
Oh, wait. No, it's not collector's questions. It's Ask the Podcast.
Collector's questions.
Stop responding in this Discord thread, everyone. It's supposed to be questions for us, not for you. Red the Game Shark asks, people ask, why is Tyler? But does anyone ask, how is Tyler? And because of the way you phrased that question, yes, Johnny did just ask me that. And I think he asked me it
every episode.
Week, yeah.
Every episode I ask, how was Tyler? But how are you,
man, there's a lot of Tyler questions. I'm just going to skip. If you could, all right, Zeno asks a real question. If you could own any 2 arcade cabinets, what would they be? I have an easy answer because I pretty much already lived this life.
All right. Have we answered this before? Go on.
Oh, have we? All right. I would get the most modern Pump It Up cabinet. Pump It Up is a dance game like DDR, if anyone doesn't know, but it has 5 arrows instead of 4 arrows. They're at the corners and the center. And I play doubles, so I play on both platforms. So there's 10 arrows instead of 8 arrows, and it makes the dancing feel so much more natural. Super good game. And then the other one would be Outrun 2, which in a weird way, like it is such a kind of generic choice. I think Outrun 2, like maybe the best arcade game ever made. It's the perfect game to either sit down for 5 minutes or just like play an hour and grind out times. I love Outrun 2.
I know why we talked about this, because we talked about what you did wrong in your collecting life.
Oh, yeah. Because, I went to the arcade auction when I should have just literally bought those 2 games and not all the bullshit I bought instead.
So for me, there's not like an art, like, I would just have like some nostalgia cabinets. Like, and my answer on this like changes. It depends if it's for play. If it's for play, like really, I just want a super fancy MAME cabinet. Like if I want the arcade experience, but I'm also a console kid. I like, it's not that I didn't go into arcades and pump quarters into machines, but I love consoles. I loved my Nintendo. Also the idea, like I was a value kid as well. So the idea that I was going to spend like $6 and then waste it in an arcade was hard for me to comprehend. I would rather be given $6, save it 5 times and then go buy a used video game, like for my console. That's how my brain works. Okay, so it's not that I didn't enjoy arcade experiences, not like, but like a MAME cabinet to me would be the experience that I would be looking for if I just wanted to have arcades, but I would want like one of the fancy MAME ones, with a trackball and with a gun and everything. So it would have to be like a fancy, nice one. If we're talking about games I loved and like more nostalgia ones, I would want a Star Wars cockpit because it's Star Wars and that's cool. And then like an NBA Jam would be like a fun one just to have because people like when people come over, you can play NBA Jam. NBA Jam's an awesome game. And then possibly if we're not doing the MAME cabinet, oh man, I lost the name of this game. It just fell out of my brain, Tyler.
It's just gone.
Wow,
Tron Deadly Discs environmental cabinet. Oh man, that cabinet's cool.
No,
I know there's 3 people who know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That game's got bass.
It is the game where you shoot aliens, Tyler.
Space Invasion. You know what it is? It's Satan's Hollow, isn't it, Johnny?
It's not Satan's Hollow. It's the one where you have a gun and it's a modern like rail shooter or modernish from 1999. Oh my God.
Is it the Star Wars Voyager arcade game?
No, it's like one of the biggest arcade games. Oh my God.
One of the biggest arcade, Area 51?
Thank you. There it is. Area 51.
Why?
Jesus
Area 51
Christ.
sucks. You do not want that cabinet.
I played, so I shot 100% on Area 51 through the whole game.
Okay.
That's my claim to fame. I beat it on
on PlayStation. I mean, it's probably not as good, but Area 51 is not a good game, so it doesn't matter.
But we're talking about nostalgia experiences. So it wouldn't even be something I ever played because I've agreed that I will never play it again because there's no experience I can replicate for what I did. So I got it early in the shotgun in the beginning. So in like the first 20 seconds, you can get the shotgun in that game. And if you get the shotgun, it becomes very hard to miss, especially if you've played the game, because they're just pop-outs, right? Once you memorize all the patterns, which I did, I got through shooting 100%, 1 quarter. I don't ever need to play that game ever again. And then even went into alien mode, but I died, but didn't get all the way through alien mode, made it like to the end without getting a death. But still, there's just no reason for me to ever play it again, but it would be a trophy.
All right. I understand. I'm just going to give generic advice to anyone who's actually in the market for an arcade game. If you can continue in an arcade game, like if you could put a quarter in and continue it, you do not want to own that game. Because then the temptation comes, you're going to get home, you're going to just continue your way through the whole game. And then once you beat it, there's no fun. And like, yes, you could try to motivate yourself to beat it on 1 quarter. But a lot of those games that have continues were basically not designed to allow you to beat it on 1 quarter, unless you're like a super expert and like you're one of these people who goes through games trying to break them to the point where you can beat them on 1 quarter. But it'll be so much more fun to have a game from the 80s like Satan's Hollow, where the idea is to get a high score on 1 quarter rather than to beat the game on 1 quarter. And that's just
your advice and my counter advice to that is buy an experience that you can do with someone else, like an NBA Jam. Like a gauntlet, because
the experience is going to the arcade. Like arcades still exist. Just do that. Don't buy a whole arcade.
It depends what your experience is like. Like if you were really into a Street Fighter, like get a Street Fighter cabinet, and you and your friends like to battle just on a cabinet, then that's fine. There's so many arcade 1-up cabinets now that exist that feed this exact idea. But I would just say find one that you can experience and enjoy with friends. And don't you have some golf game that you would get? You're like a weirdo.
Like Golden Tee? But see, for me, the experience of Golden Tee or a Gauntlet game is so easy to go out to a barcade and play those games in the actual loud, rowdy buying beers environment that
You're
I'd
talking
want
about
to
your
play
privilege.
in. What, you live in like California. Don't tell me there's no barcades out there.
There's none in my city.
That's sad. I'm sorry, Johnny.
Yeah.
You should start one. I hear it's really easy to start a bar, especially now.
Yeah. Super useful.
All right.
I also don't drink, so not super useful for me.
It would be really funny if you owned a bar then.
Yeah, I mean, talk about never getting into my own product. Anyways.
Joe Leo answered this question, and he said a low serial number red Donkey Kong cabinet, which would be one of the ones converted from a radar scope. Yeah, probably the most collectible arcade game of all time is what I would say for that.
Okay, cool. No one wants to. Anyway, do we have another question? We went long.
VG Collectaholic asks, which conventions, gaming or otherwise, have you been to, and what are your favorites, Johnny?
Well, Portland Retro Gaming Expo. So that one's fun because we have people that we know that go to those. Before that, it was, oh man, what was the name of it? It was like the video game classic convention or classic video game collection. I don't remember exactly, but it was this one that was in Las Vegas. It wound up being in Vegas for a couple of years. I think it was down here in Los Angeles and then went to Vegas. And then there was like a couple local events that I like. But yeah, Portland's my favorite, though. There's some stuff in SoCal that I haven't really been to enough to give a favorite moniker of. I really want to go to the Midwestern Video Gaming Classic. I hope to get to that next year. Hello, Wisconsin. Maybe I can convince Tyler to do that one. But would we have to skip Portland if we did that one?
I wouldn't skip Portland for anything. And not like, I mean, just, I don't think there would be another convention focused on what I like Portland. Coming from a guy who's been up and down the East Coast, and man, there's nothing as good as Portland Retro Gaming Expo on the East Coast. Maybe too many games. I haven't been to too many games.
Yeah, so I haven't been to too many games, but that's always in like Arizona, right?
Too many games is in like New Jersey or something.
Is that too? What's the one? No, it's Game On in Arizona. Game On in Arizona in August. Like, hey guys, I don't understand people who do this. They're like, let's put our hottest thing in like at the hottest time of the year. Let's put a convention. No thanks. Like maybe because you're Arizona, maybe host it in like February, like along a 4-day weekend when people can go there and then not like die of heat stroke. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Like, you have the ability to do that. Like, not everywhere. Like Minnesota, you can't be like, hey, come to Minnesota. It's February. Like, use your stuff. But everybody can go anywhere in the summer. Blah.
I'm sure people have like conventions in certain places for a reason. Like, they live there and they're organizing it.
I understand. I get it. But I'm just, they are organizing it. They live there. But they could also not host it during the hottest month of the year. Right?
I'm sure there's a fucking reason, Johnny. They probably do a lot of research into when the most people can attend and when they will make the most money.
Probably.
I think there's a convention season that they have to align with as well.
Portland does theirs in October. They were going to move it to the summer. So what's your counter argument there?
I don't know. Maybe people plan their trips around October for some reason.
So we're not dealing with the realities of it. We're talking about our hypothetical interpretations of when it would be best for us.
I'll go whenever, and they know, they're convention organizers. Their whole job is to figure out when they can get a bunch of people into a building.
So, also, I mean, a lot of them aren't. They're just usually people who just made this convention and then got stuck with it. And they're like, oh my God, now it's a thing and we have to keep going. I think that's more of what happens. But isn't Midwestern Gaming Classic in like March in the I know they call it Midwest Gaming Classic, but isn't that like really the North? I mean, I guess Midwest, but is it West?
Midwest,
it's
Johnny.
like, is it really? I know it's called the Midwest, but isn't it like
literally in like Wisconsin, isn't it?
It's in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
but
it's the fucking Midwest.
Is that the Midwest? I thought that's like the Northern United States.
Do you not know what the Midwest is? The Midwest isn't like Louisiana.
I understand.
It's the upper
I just described where it is.
I mean, know it's not
it's
the
on a
North,
Great Lake.
because the North is the north of the Civil War. That's why it's not called the North.
I'm just saying the central northern.
What are you talking about?
The central north of the United States.
Anyway, I'm sure I would love Midwest Gaming Classic. I'm
just saying West seems like it's not really West. Is it just because it's west of the Mississippi?
They probably came up with the name Midwest before the West existed, Johnny. That was probably when Kansas was the West.
How would that even be possible? How would they think of the term Midwest before the West existed? Please,
the West
continue.
Was probably like Kansas, and then the Midwest was like, I don't know, Wisconsin, Ohio.
But you would need a West for there to be suddenly a
if
Midwest.
The West was Kansas, that's the West. The Midwest was invented in the 19th century to describe states of the old Northwest Ordinance, a term that became outdated as the nation spread to the Pacific coast.
And this is why all of your lists are bad, even for areas. Just stop it. Stop with your directional namings. Dumb.
Sure, yes. So the people in the 1800s, it was the Midwest to them. That's why we call it the Midwest.
Okay.
Anyway, I've been to PAX East and PAX Prime. This is like almost 10 years ago now. But yeah, PAX Prime definitely better than PAX East, as you would probably expect. PAX is fun, but very focused on modern stuff. Like, you really have to be super excited about like playing previews of games that are about to come out, because man, that's what your ticket price is going for. Big fancy booths set up for like the games coming out in 6 months. MagFest is the best. Over time, it feels like it has morphed from very gaming focused to generic anime convention. And I realize, I don't know if I think MagFest happened during the pandemic at least once. I haven't been to MagFest in like 3 years. If you're going to MagFest, you really have to go there for the concerts, because there's like concerts basically 24/7. That's the awesome part of MagFest. Vendor floor MagFest, absolute garbage, just generic convention trash. I've been to like local stuff. There's one in Durham, like the saddest little gaming convention I've ever been to. Genericon in Troy, New York, another sad small convention. I mean, there has to be appeal to these local game conventions, but if you give me a convention where like 1,000 people show up, it feels sad to me, because like it is so easy to go to something like PAX, something like PRGE. So when you make a convention, like if there's no big draw, like if you make an arcade with 400 games, people are going to show up to your fucking convention. But if you make an arcade that has 6 games and it's just like the cheapest convention center in Raleigh that you could find, I don't like those conventions, is what I'm saying. I've been to Games Day, which is the Games Workshop Warhammer convention. I never really played Warhammer. I was just into painting the figures. Even as someone who didn't play the games and was just into miniatures in general, man, Games Day was a good time. Southern Fried Game Room Expo, really big pinball convention in Georgia. I was excited that there was a retro-themed game convention coming to the Southeast United States. Not really a big place for like console games. It's really focused on the arcade and pinball stuff. So, I mean, a lot of fun if you're into that, but I was basically only there for the pinball tournament. What am I forgetting, Johnny?
You're forgetting the Megabit Game Expo, which happens in my hometown, Simi Valley, where, hey, our co-host Stefan will be featuring the Art of Nintendo Power Collection.
Ooh, thanks. Good plug. And then the best pinball convention of all time, Replay FX, was put on by, is it Papa or was it someone else?
I don't know. That like, because there used to be one at the video game history or the pinball museum in Banning, California.
Yeah, that's Arcade Expo. That got shut down too. So Replay FX was the Replay Foundation, which got shut down during the pandemic. And I understand like the Arcade Expo collection was insane as well, like over 1,000 pinball machines, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The Replay Foundation, I think, had like the best public pinball collection on planet Earth. Not only did they have a shitload of games, they had all the rarest, most interesting, and most like all the games that tournament players would be interested in. And they were fucking maintained 100% every single game, because the top players in the world would come here and they would have to play on like all 600 of these games. Every single rare game, all the greatest games, 100% modded out and playing perfectly. It was perfect, and they shut down in 2021 because of the pandemic. And I'm pretty
Thanks,
sure that
pandemic.
collection got parted out. Fucking the saddest tragedy in public pinball of all time.
Yeah, the two best pinball things both got destroyed and shut down.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's what I've been to. I mean, in terms of like games, there's nothing on the East Coast that compares to Portland. So Portland Retro Game Expo is absolutely worth the trip out.
So, but Midwestern Gaming Classic, I would like to go to that if you're game. Perhaps it's in March. I looked. It's March, the end of March 31st to a couple days in April. Is it too much for you to go to 2 conventions a year? Is what I was trying to ask you.
I'll see. My friend had some kind of plans to go to Disney World in February. I don't know why we're talking about this on the show. I might be going to Disney World in February, in which case it might be too much. But otherwise, I'll let you know next year how I feel.
Okay. And then, because people plan big trips, months in advance. That's how these things work.
I mean, I feel like if you're just going to a convention, you could do that a little bit more last minute because you're just basically getting a hotel and showing up, right?
That's true. Anyways, further and last point I want to make about this, especially because this is called Midwestern Gaming Classic. It's in Milwaukee, right? Which is right on Lake Michigan, which is way more east than it is west. I'm just saying. It's so east. It is the Northeast United States, guys. Don't listen to this central bullshit. There's no Midwest there. Get out of here.
Everyone listening to the podcast, I hate California culture as much as the rest of you. Like this bullshit going on about the Midwest. These Californians, I don't understand.
What does this have to do with where I live?
Because you wouldn't feel this way if you just lived a little closer to the Midwest and you understood it was the Midwest.
I'm just saying West, if you describe something to me as being, the Midwest, imagine you're not from here and you tried to tell someone, you're like, this is, what the United States looks like. And you're like, okay, there's an area of the United States called the Midwest. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Is that in the middle and towards the West then? And you're like, no, it's actually kind of mid-east. And you'd be like, well, what the fuck do you mean then? You're like, yeah, it's also
we already have a place called the Middle East and it's in Asia.
And you're like, it's also in Africa, right?
Also, we can't even call the Mid-East Coast that. It's called the Mid-Atlantic. Because you're just not allowed to, we can't call things the same thing. So we got the Midwest, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Mid-East.
So, yeah. Anyways, if you just look at a map and you think about where Milwaukee is, Milwaukee pretty much, is Chicago also the Midwest then?
Chicago is the most Midwestern city of all cities.
Is it? I thought that was like Cleveland.
Oh my God.
Which is Ohio, but that's also not Midwest. That's just East Coast. These terminologies are confusing.
I already explained the etymology.
I understand the etymology.
We don't have to fix it. This isn't a list that we have to fix.
Tyler, if our goal on the show isn't to fix the list, then what is it?
I don't know. Can we move on? I think we're done with the collecting or ask the podcast.
You can cut that whole bit.
The next question is a good one, so I'm just gonna save it. Okay. What do we do now? We talk about what we're buying, what we're playing. Man, is this show still going on? This is like a morning show, and it is like later in the afternoon for me now.
Yeah.
I have been here for over 4 hours now. Maybe a little bit less, but still.
We did research in this. Like this episode definitely longer.
We didn't get started for 2 hours.
You can cut all my shenanigans about the Midwest if you want, but I think people are gonna agree with me when they look at a map. Anyways, let's talk about what we bought and what we played. Tyler, do you have anything you wish to publicly reveal to our listeners about what you are buying or perhaps playing?
That I wish to publicly reveal? Are there things I don't publicly reveal?
Yes.
Okay. I got Johnny. I got a jewel case Quake. I'm looking for that first print. The first print has a different modified by file date on the disc. Still looking for it. I bought huge purchase here. I bought an NES Rob poster, so one that come in the NES Deluxe set. Because I have a deluxe set that's missing the poster. Inside the Rob poster was a small Rob poster. I got 2 Rob posters for $15. Very excited about that.
Wow, you did it. There's a joke about not getting robbed, and you managed it.
Okay, good joke. Didn't laugh. But it was a good joke. I like the pun.
All right.
And I bought Project Firestart for the Commodore 64, Johnny. There's my big one. Do you even know what Project Firestart is? I feel like we must have discussed it at some point.
No. Go ahead, tell me.
It's a survival horror game for the Commodore 64, but it came out in 1989, yet it kind of has all of the elements of survival horror. Like, clearly it wasn't the influential game that like Sweet Home or Resident Evil was. It seems like one of those like parallel idea kind of games that it isn't the game that everyone built their foundation on, but here's the one that also had all these same ideas going on. But yeah, it's a side scroller kind of pseudo 3D thing. So this game I would have called it very rare. I lost an auction for it that went for an insane price a few months ago. It went for like $500. Like, I am absolutely positive that is the most money this game has ever sold for. And I'd been looking for this, and no copies came up until that copy came up. Since that $500 sale, I went and I randomly looked on eBay one day. There are just 4 copies sitting on eBay unsold. I'm guessing because the huge sale just brought a bunch of copies to market, and it's just it's beautiful. It's the nature healing itself. Like, oh my God, people saw the big sale. More copies are coming to market. The price is getting driven down. So just kind of the perfect thing happened is that 4 copies.
And that's Project Firestart, not Firestorm. Firestart.
Project Firestart, Commodore 64. Yep, and I bet there's at least 3 copies still on eBay right now.
This is an Alien game? Is that what this is?
I mean, it really wants you to think it's an Alien game.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not, but I mean, that's the premise of the survival horror. It's aliens.
I'm like, it's got like the Metroids in tubes kind of thing going on. Like it's an Alien game.
I just was relieved I didn't have to put it on my Halloween list.
What? Aliens don't count as Halloween?
Alien does because it's also horror, but just aliens in general do not.
It's a horror game.
Meh. It like just doesn't aliens don't scream Halloween to me.
All right. I mean, I agree. But
I also always think of aliens as like a summer thing. It's a summer season.
What are you? That is the most random association ever.
No, like look, I do have random associations. Yes, that's true because they're my associations. But like certain things feel seasonal to me, like more seasonal or less seasonal, depending on where we are. And somehow, like some games that I like even might be considered Halloween games, like feel more wintry to me than Halloween. So yeah, like games have a feeling, and aliens feel summer to me. That's because you're up late and like the night is bright and you can see a lot, and I feel like that's when alien sightings happen. And I have no data to back any of that, but that's
alien
just
stuff happens
how
at night is when you get abducted.
I know, but it feels like that feels like a summertime thing to me.
All right.
Like, and like also if you look at Independence Day, that was definitely a summer movie. Like, you know, just aliens summertime.
Okay.
That's my. Right. I'm not saying I'm right.
You're not right, but I understand your logic. Sure.
So when do you feel aliens are? You feel like aliens are for every occasion?
I mean, honestly, everything aliens to me comes back to Alien and Aliens. So if you want to give them seasons, I'm going to say Alien, clearly a Halloween time movie, and Aliens is a summer movie because it's a big action blockbuster. So
I agree. I actually agree with your assessment 100% there.
Okay, perfect. And where's Alien 3 lie? I mean, we don't know. Alien 3 is like a real March movie, don't you think?
I mean, it definitely feels like a march if you're watching it. Got him!
Johnny, I have been playing... Johnny, I bought Baba Is You for the 3rd time. So I bought it on PC, like when it came out, or probably a little after it came out. And then I bought it on Switch because they came up with a physical copy of it. And I've just been craving wanting to play more of it so much that I bought it on iPad, just a 3rd copy, because I didn't want to have to go to my computer to play it. That's so funny that I own the Switch version, and I'm like, you know what? I really need a mobile version of this. I don't play my Switch. I don't like Switch. I would rather play a touchscreen swipe game than break out my Switch. How do you feel about that?
You are gross.
Baba Is You, like top 10 puzzle game of all time. There's no question about it. It is such a good game. I love Sakaban, and this is just it's taken Sakaban to a millionth level. It is so good.
What does Sakaban tell us?
Sakaban is the game where you push boxes around a warehouse and have to end with them in a certain spot. So it's a grid-based box pushing game. And the idea of it is that it's really easy to like push boxes against the wall into a position where you're not able to get them out. So you have to push these boxes around in a way where you'll be able to maneuver them around a tight warehouse.
Okay.
And Sakaban adds Baba Is You as a whole like huge layer of logic puzzles on top of that Sakaban core, which it just makes it so good. Everyone buy it. It's like a $12 game. Just do it. I've talked about it more than once on the show. Around. What's that?
Push those. I said, just push those boxes.
You're not even pushing boxes. Sometimes you're pushing words. Oh
my God. You could you could literally push anything.
Sometimes you can't push the things because they're floating. And then you're like, whoa, they're floating. I can't push them. It's just.
I can't believe that. I can't believe they would do that to you.
It's like trying to describe The Witness to someone. You're just like, it's line puzzles, but they're such good line puzzles. You have no idea. And then you complete one, and then you walk up to the next one, and then you do that line puzzle too. And sometimes it's so hard that you have to break out a notebook and start like doing some stuff on paper. And it's a lot of fun, I promise.
I'm gonna take your word for it.
One final thing I'll mention, while I was discussing this in a VGS thread, and someone said that they don't enjoy Professor Layton, but they liked buying a used copy where someone had already beaten the game and just playing the puzzles and skipping all the story bullshit. And I was thinking like, that might be a solid way to play the Professor Layton games. I like the story bullshit, but a lot of times I'm just there for the puzzles.
So you don't want yours dressed up. You just want to get to the meat.
Yeah. I have had an emotional reaction to a Professor Layton cutscene. Man, whatever, like the third or fourth game where he takes off his hat and there's like a sword fight and like there's some cool shit that happens in the Professor Layton games. But like also like kind of fuck all of it. Just give me some matchstick puzzles.
Okay.
What have you
all I can think about, and I know, I'm sorry, I've been like being a bad listener a little bit, but you've got my brain spinning so much on like the seasonality of things. So like, and I have this whole idea of like what I consider seasonal, because there's certain horror movies I like consider like completely like seasonal that I just want to like keep talking to you about it and get your opinion. But that sounds like After Dark content.
That sure does.
But yeah, what have I been playing? Hey Tyler, you know what I haven't been playing? You want to know what I haven't been playing at all?
What?
The Last of Us 2, Tyler. I have not fucking just goddamn, I'm so fucking angry. I'm so angry about it, Tyler. I filed a support ticket.
Oh, wow. I'm sure they're going to get right on fixing that.
Nothing. They've never said, they didn't even respond with a generic, we've received your ticket. Nothing. I've tried so many things.
I mean, Johnny, you are an old school gamer. Just fucking bite the bullet and replay the game.
But there's no guarantee that it will be fixed when I get there.
Oh, you're so fucked. I forgot.
It's like I would just do that. That was my first instinct, and then I had the second thought, which was, oh shit, what if I get here and it's still broken?
Oh man, that would be the biggest tragedy. But you know what? You just had more fun with the game that you love.
But I'm
fucked.
so
You're
mad.
never going to want to replay the game now.
I know. It's fucked me. And I think like there's people who really dislike The Last of Us 2. And I think The Last of Us 2 is kind of amazing. I think it is more like, it's more of an artistic game as far as what the story is trying to do than The Last of Us 1. That doesn't mean I think it's better than The Last of Us 1. No one go crazy, because I like The Last of Us 1 better. I think it's a better paced game. And I think more things happening tighter, and the story is more relatable. So yeah, Last of Us 1 better. But what The Last of Us 2 tries to do, I find to be incredibly interesting. And the fact that I don't get to experience I'm at the penultimate point, right? And I don't get to that moment that Ellie has, which makes the whole series, which wraps up the whole series, is very frustrating. And yes, I know what happens. And yes, I could watch a YouTube video, but there is something to be said for doing it myself, because if I could just watch a YouTube video, I would just do that for all the games. But the point is, I like to do it myself. It's not to say that I won't watch a YouTube video of some stuff, but that's why I buy the game to play it. Or we would all just watch YouTube videos. That's why it's called playing a video game and not watching a video game.
I mean, if there's ever a game that you basically watch instead of play, Last of Us 2.
Metal Gear 4. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Last of Us Part 2 and Metal Gear Solid 4, like both really solid gameplay, and both like kind of don't let you use the gameplay as much as it could. But also Last of Us 2 is a lot longer. So are you in that like really final like epilogue kind of area?
I'm in Santa Barbara.
Okay, so you're basically in the part of the game where the game would be better if it just didn't exist. Like they should have chopped that out of the game.
I don't know if that's true. I think it should have, like, I think you could have ended it where nothing had a conclusion and then made it. But the point of the game, like, we could get into like what the theory craft of the game is and like what that final point is and why that epilogue happens. And I don't know why I'm talking like it's spoilers, but I'm trying not to. But I don't need to do that. Spoilers if you haven't played The Last of Us 2. Anyways, so Ellie getting there to Abby at the end in Santa Barbara. There's all this stuff that happens, right? So if Abby had killed Ellie when she had the chance, right? Both times, that would have led to Abby not being saved by Ellie. So all this is crucial, and it's all becomes like, and Ellie keeps like, one of the constant refrains from Ellie in the first and second game is like, it can't all be for nothing, but that's what revenge is. So the minute you engage in a revenge fantasy or a revenge tale, it is all for nothing. And that's the point. All these people died, all these horrible things happened to all the people involved and all the people that got dragged into it, and it was all for nothing. It never needed to happen. It's all, and that's them breaking the cycle at the very end, at the very final moment, realizing we've done this and it has been all for nothing. And only in that point of realization that all this has been for nothing and nothing has been accomplished can they sit there and look and go, nope, we can't continue. We can't continue the cycle. It needs to break. And that allows Ellie to go. So, and Abby realizes it before Ellie. Abby, when Ellie gets her, is just grateful to get off that pillar. And, you know, Ellie makes it a thing that she has to do this because she's got this thing. I have to do this for Joel. I have to do this thing for Tommy. I've got to take this revenge, but breaks it. And then you see that end scene, like she loses her finger, which now she can no longer go and play the guitar that Joel left her. So the interesting thing is at the end of the game, if you're looking very carefully, and like some of the theory about it, is when she's walking back into her homestead, which is outside of Jackson, you know, her and Dina have this house that Dina has left. If you've read everything, you know that there was a letter from Dina's, or not from Dina, from the father of the baby who died in this revenge tale. Those parents telling Dina there's always a place for her and Ellie in Jackson if they want to come back. So we see Ellie coming back, and you assume that it's right after she's left Santa Barbara. But there is no evidence, and Last of Us likes to play with the time jumps like that. There's no evidence that it's right after Santa Barbara. In fact, there is counter evidence that it is not right after Santa Barbara. Like, people assume that she just got on a boat, left, and made the long march back. But that's not true. Ellie most of her is healed. She's recovered too much, and she's obtained the bracelet that Dina gave her, which she would have had to go back and find. So you can make the assumption that the end, Ellie's made this realization, and she's just going back to the house for one last look around because she's closed that chapter off of her life, which, and she's come to peace with the idea of what Joel did and how he saved her and what her life is moving forward and how she can live a meaningful life in totality now that all of this is over. So there's a lot of interesting things. While I agree, yes, you could have left that out. Maybe the game isn't better for it, but it is a more poignant point.
I'm just saying, even if you leave it in, it doesn't have to be another like 5 hours on top of a game that's already gone on for 25 hours.
You know what? It feels like it's that long, but it really isn't. It's like 45 minutes of gameplay, but there's a lot of story that takes place, which feels like it drags out, but there's like 40 minutes of gameplay. And I am right at the point where you climb a train car, you go into a train car, and then you climb up like a liquid containing train car, like one that would haul gas or oil. You climb up it, and then you go into the final compound before you can go down to the pillar. So I'm already at the point where I've like passed their security.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking. I know exactly like the ladder that you're stuck on.
Yeah, it is the very last, like I'm to the final gunplay stuff, and this fucking happens. It's very frustrating.
Did you actually play anything, or is that just the one game you didn't play, Johnny?
No, I played Magic Online. Is that a video game?
You didn't. You played Magic Arena, which is the child's version of Magic Online, which I have to say, because my entire digital Magic collection is in Magic Online, so I have to pretend that that's the real version.
Okay, so even if you're pretending that, is it a video game?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Magic Online, Magic Arena are video games?
Yeah.
Okay, so I played a video game. I played Magic Online. I did some drafts with the Arena Cube. That's what I did.
Good job.
There. Oh, and I also played a bunch of Constructed over the last week, and just about to hit a mythic rank.
Everyone's really proud of you.
Yeah, no one gives a shit. no one cares. It's like,
is that the highest rank?
Yeah, it's the highest rank.
Oh.
I've had insomnia, so during my bouts of insomnia, I've gone in and played video games. Anyways, that's it. And what did I buy, Tyler? I bought some Halloween games because we're getting to that point. I had this like whole Halloween list, easy done. Bought the games. I was going to be like, I want to be more relatable, and I want to just buy like modern stuff that people can go buy. And I thought that was like a good premise. So I got like a bunch of Switch games, a bunch of Xbox games, and a bunch of like PS4 games to be like, hey, look, because like last time I showcased the PS2. I was like, I'll showcase the PS4. Like, this is stuff people can go buy and play on their PS5 and stuff now. Like, that'll be cool. And then, like, of course, I'm like, I wasn't satisfied, and I start wandering into weird stuff or like expensive computer stuff. So, you know, I can't help myself, Tyler. Like, I can spoil it, but I bought like a Maniac Mansion. You know, it just. And I've like really targeted some expensive games that I don't want to spend like $300 on games that nobody has ever heard of. And I'm going to post it. No one's going to care.
Get into the club. Let's spend $300 on games no one's ever heard of, Johnny.
Yeah, all the time. Like, and I have got a bunch of them that I want. And there's a bunch that I want that are like $150, $200. Tyler, I'm in the weeds. I'm like looking at all this weird Commodore 64 stuff from Europe only. Like, come on, man. Like, what am I doing? No one cares about this. And I know I only do it for me, but I'm just like, what am I? I'm an insane person. What am I doing? Is that how you feel all the time?
I mean, no, I think it's great. I love the stuff that I buy, Johnny. I think it's so cool.
I love the stuff that I buy too, but you don't feel like an insane person?
I mean, generally everything I buy, I have like one person that I could share it with who actually cares, who thinks it's like cool. And like, you know, as long as there's one person I could share it with, I don't feel like an absolutely crazy person.
I mean, I have a whole podcast of people I know and like a certain dedicated group that are going to like the Halloween stuff. But like, man, it just like, I'm really looking at Personal Nightmare. Do you remember we talked about Personal Nightmare on the last Halloween episode, I think, which is, from just ridiculous because the whole selling point of it is Elvira being scantily clad in a seductive pose on the box cover, but she is not in the game.
Yes. It's like an soft game. You might almost call it Elvira Presents Personal Nightmare.
Yes. Absolutely.
But that is that an expensive game? That's a DOS Amiga game, it looks like, right? So
yeah. Like, so if you find like some copies are expensive, like, and no, I can't find like a reasonable one, but like that's a game that's on my list, as are the rest of the Elvira games, and they're all like kind of expensive.
The first two copies that I brought up are from a known UK reseller guy. $472 and $413, depending on which variant you want.
Yep.
Woo! Oh, one of those is sealed, and there's no other copies. Awesome.
Yep.
And no copies in sold. Damn, good luck getting this game.
Yeah, and you want the copy, as we've said, you want the copy with Elvira on it, not with the guy screaming on it. Who cares about the guy screaming?
Go get it. It's sealed. Just $500. Come on, in terms of modern day sealed prices, that's nothing. Just go get it.
I know. But by the way, when I say Personal Night, there's like a guy screaming copy. So I want to be clear. Like, yes, Elvira is on the cover of that, but there is a version, a white box like a white PC box version of it where Elvira is huge on it. She is like, there's like a gravestone with like eyes looking and Elvira, and that's like the whole box. No guy screaming. It's the majority of the box.
I'm worried. Is that a re-release? It's so dumb and bad.
The red one, yeah.
Is the red one or the white one a re-release?
I think the red one is the re-release.
Okay.
Or that's an interesting question.
I would think the white one is because they don't have to advertise the game anymore. They're just like, buy this thing. It has Elvira on it. Who cares if it's a video game?
I don't, or it could be different territory release too. We'll have to look into it.
All right.
Anyways, that's it. And
that's it for the show. Well,
yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Rough ending.
I bought my wife some pops. Nothing exciting. Like I bought the exciting video games I bought. I'll talk about for Halloween. All right. So Tyler, where can we find you?
I'm on the video game stage and Discord and Instagram. Default Gen, Default GEN. Just find a way to message me.
All right. And you can find me on our Discord and on Instagram occasionally, though I haven't posted in a couple of months. I did have a silly post there because someone did reach out to me genuinely asking if I was okay because I hadn't posted. And that's when I got to post silly bands. But yeah, I am okay. And you can still message me there. I still respond. I just haven't felt inclined to post anything, mostly because I'm buying Halloween stuff. All right, that's it for the show. Thanks so much for listening and trying to find a way to pretend you care about dinosaur games. We appreciate it. That's it. Bye!
That's our show. This episode has been delayed 2 days just because I've been unable to record the outro bit. So you know what? The patrons will get a shout out when they get a shout out. Thank you to 8-Bit for our music, 8bit.bandcamp.com. He does our intro music. Check out his album. He's doing his bi-yearly self-promotion, apparently. Richard, patron number 1 Bowden, and the other 75 of you, I love you. I'll do the shout-outs next week. I also think we have new patrons. Oh, my God. Thank you guys so much.